This is a breaking news report from KRIS 6 News.
Hello, I'm Paulo Salazar. We have some breaking news to report at this hour. We're receiving reports of a major pipeline explosion at Epic Products. Now, you're seeing live video of firefighters and several agencies on the scene at this hour trying to extinguish the blaze. Now, calls came in around 8:05 this morning. There have been multiple injuries. We know a new pipeline was going in at the facility, and that's where a pipeline rupture at the barge loading dock ignited the barge, spread from the pipeline to a grain elevator, and it is fully engulfed when crews arrived on the scene. And we're learning that the fire spread to that grain elevator and then to a silo. And you can see live video right now of crews working to extinguish that blaze. Now, we know multiple people have been injured. There are currently 6 people still missing. Several victims have been transported to Spawn Shoreline. Their injuries are unknown at this time. We also know from Lieutenant Lyons of the Coast Guard that the Coast Guard has transported multiple victims to the Brooks Army Medical Burn Unit facility in San Antonio. Now, as many as 10 victims have been injured in this situation. We have a photographer on the scene. We have a reporter on the scene. And do we have him ready to go? Okay, let's go. This is Javier Guerra. He has the latest on what's going on with this refinery explosion that happened early this morning. Javier, you spoke with Corpus Christi Fire Chief Rocha just moments ago. What did he have to say about this ongoing investigation?
Hey, Paulo. Yeah. So right now, everything is unknown. Everything is mysterious right now, as we know. But we do know that Chief Rocha did say that they are investigating this incident. They are trying to confirm exactly what caused this incident, as you were talking about that dredge with that pipe earlier. But they are trying to confirm exactly what happened at exactly what time. But what we do know, I do want to move out of the way so that you can see incredible plumes of smoke right now. What we do know is that Chief Rocha did tell us that 6 people are currently at Corpus Christi Shoreline Hospital. He did tell us that Corpus Christi Fire Department did transport 4 people. The Corpus Christi Fire Department, again, is confirming that they did transport 4 people to Corpus Christi Shoreline. A total of 6 people are there. 2 others were rescued by the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard is also out here. I do want to go ahead and tell you that Corpus Christi Fire Department is out here. The Texas Department of Public Safety is out here. We've also got the several authorities here. Also, Chief Rocha did tell us that County Judge Barbara Canales is in the know about this. They also said that the emergency management team is in the know about this. They also said that they will inform the governor's office about this situation once Judge Canales does get a better view of this situation right now. As this information is coming in, we are out here right now. But what we can confirm is that Chief Rocha says they are trying to mitigate this situation. They're trying to find out exactly what happened. When questioned about, exactly what happened, he did tell us that at the moment they are investigating to find out, what happened with that pipe, what happened with that dredge at the moment. But remember, stay away from this area. We're off of Upriver and Latana Road. This is around the port of Corpus Christi. As you can see here, this is the Interstate Grain Port Terminal. Please stay from this area, stay away from this area, because as we were driving a little bit, I was driving from SPID, you could see the incredible amount of smoke. This was an incredible fire earlier. You could see those flames earlier. We were on the other side of this fire, and you could see those flames. Right now, we are at the media base. We are going to be informed minute by minute. At about 10:15, 10:30, we are going to receive some information. So it's already 10:15 right now, but we are trying to get that information. At about 10:30, the Port of Corpus Christi is supposed to give us more information about what's going on. But of course, you can count on us to be here. We are at this scene right now, but what we can confirm to you right now is that Chief Rocha with the Corpus Christi Fire Department did tell us that 6 people are currently at the Corpus Christi Spawn Shoreline Hospital. But we've also got some more information that I do want to go ahead and share with you. The Coast Guard is confirming that 6 people are still missing. So the Coast Guard is still confirming that at the moment 6 people are still missing. We are going to be here on the scene. You can count on KRIS 6 News to bring you all of the information. Of course, stay tuned to our Facebook Lives because we're going to be bringing you all of the information. For now, here in the port of Corpus Christi, Javier Guerra, back to you, Paulo.
Javier, before I let you go, but we were just seeing pictures of drone video or drone pictures of the actual explosion when it was taking place, and you can see the rings of just charred facility, charred land from that explosion. You did say we have 6 people missing and we've got 6 victims at Spawn Shoreline. Do we know of any of their injuries? Have they confirmed what those injuries are?
So right now, the fire chief Rocha is assessing that situation. He is trying to figure out what those injuries are. He did not tell us at the moment, but he said he would be back shortly to give us more information. Of course, when he comes in, he briefs us, he goes back, assesses the situation at their center, then comes back and gives us all that information. But yes, as you can see, it's just incredible the amount of smoke. As I was driving from SPID on the south side of Corpus Christi, you could see the incredible amount of smoke right here, as you can see, Paulo. Just incredible fire as well. We were on the other side and you could see just the fire spewing out of this area. So again, Paulo, just anybody who's in this area is asked to stay out of the area to make sure, you know, that there are no more injuries to this. But what we can confirm right now is that the Coast Guard says that 6 people are currently missing, and 6 people, according to the Corpus Christi Fire Chief Rocha, are in KRIS's Spawn Shoreline. And remember, 4 of those were rescued by Corpus Christi Fire Department, and 2 of those were rescued by the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard is also out here on the situation, Paulo.
And thank you, Javier Rocha, reporting live from the scene. And we do know the Coast Guard has also transported some victims to the Brooks Army Medical Center burn units there in San Antonio. And we're also told that the port has shut down the inner harbor towards the harbor bridge as crews work on the scene. And the name of the barge that caught fire was the Wayman L. Boyd. This is just coming in new to the newsroom. The name of the barge that caught fire was the Wayman L. Boyd. And we did hear reports at the time that that fire was fully engulfed on that barge. Crew members were jumping off the barge into the water. Several were rescued by the Coast Guard. And we do know that 6 people remain missing at this hour. Now, CFD, Corpus Christi Fire Department, the Corpus Christi Police Department, they're all on the scene with RTFC as well, who specializes in these types of refinery fires. You're seeing right there the billow of smoke that was being let off into the air on the city's north side. It could be seen for miles. Crews have since got some sort of control of the fire at this moment. They continue to investigate exactly what happened. We are being told that a pipeline that was going on, a new pipeline being installed there, is what ruptured, caused a blaze to catch the barge on fire, and then it spread to the grain elevator. And by no doubt, that's what's fueling the blaze continuing at this moment. We do know that Corpus Christi Police has shut off Lantana Road so crews can come and go as needed. They are working to contain this fire, and it's just about, looks as if the major flames are just about put out. They'll continue to stay on the scene. We do know 6 people are missing. They have not been found at this moment, and we have 6 people at Spawn Shoreline. Their injuries are unknown. Fire crews and several other agencies are on the scene, and our own Javier Guerra is on the scene. We'll go back to him live in just a moment. He will be getting live reports and new reports from Corpus Christi Fire Chief Rocha. As new information comes up, we'll keep you updated of the very latest. And let's go to him now. We don't have Javier just yet? Okay. All right. We will go back to him later. And we do know that a pipeline erupted at the Epic's product facility. That's what has caused the blaze. There are several agencies on the scene. Lantana Road has been shut down. If you're going to be traveling in that area, just stay away. Officials are working to contain this blaze, and this is a live video of it now. Fire crews have been working the blaze. The call came in around 8:05 this morning. Crews were on the scene shortly after, and they remain on the scene. We're still working to figure out the details, but as information comes out, we will keep you updated of the very latest. Be sure to stay tuned here on KRIS 6 and also on KRISTV.com. Now, we do have the shot up live with Javier Guerra. Let's go to him now. And Javier, do you know of any of the injuries to those that were transported to the hospital? We know the Coast Guard has taken a few victims to burn units in San Antonio, Brooks Army Medical Center. Are those the similar injuries that they're seeing there at Spawn?
Hey, Paulo. Yeah, so right now, Corpus Christi Chief Rocha did tell us that the extent of those injuries aren't. He's not sure of that yet. He is assessing the situation. Again, he is at the command center getting all that situation. He did tell us, though, that 4 people were transported by the Corpus Christi Fire Department to Christus Spawn shoreline. He also did tell us that 2 of those people who were affected by this that you see behind me were also sent to Christus shoreline. Now, this was by the Coast Guard. Again, the Coast Guard is on the scene trying to mitigate the situation along with the Corpus Christi Fire Department, the Corpus Christi Police Department. Also, the Texas Department of Public Safety is on the scene as well. I do want to go back to these images right now so we can go to those images. Now, the smoke looks a little better than it did a little while ago. It was just tar black a little while ago, Paulo. Incredible amount of smoke, incredible amount of flames that were popping out of this. As you said earlier, we are getting reports that this was from a pipeline from that dredge. Again, 6 people are missing from the Corpus Christi, according to the Corpus Christi Coast Guard here in this area right now. We do know that the Coast Guard has reported that 6 people are still missing. We have 6 people that are in the hospital. 4 people were transported by the Corpus Christi Fire Department, and we've got 2 people were transported by the Coast Guard. So at the moment, we don't know the extent of those injuries. He is coming back, though, in just a couple of minutes to give us an update. Again, you can count on us to stay here, Paulo, so we can bring all of the information to our KRIS 6 viewers, because, again, it's very important to keep you all informed. And, of course, we are getting that information to find that extent of those burn victims right now, but we are at the scene trying to get that information for you guys.
And Javier, just into the newsroom, this is new information coming in that the Coast Guard does confirm that there was a barge in the area that struck a submerged pipeline. That's what caused the fire onto that barge. Now, the Corpus Christi ship channel, or the port of Corpus Christi, has shut down the entire inner harbor towards the harbor bridge. We do know that information. Now, were there ever any evacuation orders or anything of that nature given, and is the surrounding area safe right now?
So right now, Paulo, yeah, so right now they are saying, the Coast Guard is saying that there is a dredge that struck a submerged pipeline, which is causing this fire here in this Corpus Christi ship channel. So that's what we're getting from the Coast Guard. Right. But yeah, as to your question, Paulo, we are out here trying to get that information for everybody. But again, 6 people are still missing from the Coast Guard. We've got those 4 people that were transported to Christus shoreline by the Corpus Christi Fire Department, and we've got those 2 people that were transported by the Coast Guard. Right now, the extent of those injuries are not known yet, but we are trying to figure out that information as that information comes into us. But we were confirmed just a couple of minutes ago. The Coast Guard said that there are 6 people still missing. And as per those evacuation orders, there have been no evacuation orders that have been put in place right now. The Corpus Christi Fire Department, the Corpus Christi Police Department out here has not told us anything at the moment, but they are saying that people should stay away from the area. So if you're out here on I-37, going to exit on navigation, this is blocked off. please stay away from this area. Right now, there's no smell, so that's a good thing. We did ask if there was any hazardous chemicals in this explosion, and they did tell us that they are trying to assess that situation. But right here, as I can see, we are pretty close to this area, really close actually to the area to this fire right now. And there's no smell. I can't smell anything. I can't smell anything, any type of gas right now. So that's a good thing right now. We are in contact with Chief Rocha. He did say when asked if this was hazardous that they are investigating this incident.
Now, I know in these type of situations, they would have pushed y'all's barrier even further back, not giving you that access close enough if there was any harm or danger to the surrounding areas. Do you know if when Chief Rocha is going to give us the latest update?
At the moment, we're not too sure. He did say as soon as we got here, he came, he gave us that update. He went back to the command center. Of course, they are assessing all of this situation. He is going to come back in a few minutes. We're hoping at least in the next 15 minutes, we'll get an update from him as to the extent of those injuries, as to the extent of this fire behind me, to the extent of this explosion that we are seeing right behind me. But right now, authorities are trying to figure out exactly what caused that, but we are getting those reports from the Coast Guard that that was a pipe that did explode because of that dredge. So we are out here trying to get that information. And yes, as you said, we were actually in that side of the explosion where you could actually see the flames, and it was kind of farther from the area where police sent media out. But pretty incredible that we're so close to this fire right now. We didn't expect to get so close. We tried to get as close as possible. We still had some pretty great images on that side of the fire, but Corpus Christi Police Lieutenant Peña did send us over here to this area where they are assessing the situation. This is where the media is right now. Again, this is kind of the command center for the media. There is another command center just a little bit up the road, and that command center is for the Corpus Christi Fire Department, the Corpus Christi Police Department, the Texas Department of Public Safety, and the Coast Guard. Of course, they are assessing the situation, and we're going to be here until we can get all of that information to our viewers.
All right, Javier Guerra reporting live on the scene. Thank you so much, Javier. Keep us updated of the very latest. Can we go back to the images of the fire burning? Do we still have that shot? These are pictures that we received of the initial explosion. You can see where the smoke comes out over the water and the blast and that charred space. That's where the barge hit an underwater pipeline, rupturing it, causing the explosion. That barge got fully engulfed in flames. It had personnel on the boat that had jumped in the water during the explosion when it happened. And if you know anything about these type of fires, the grain, it's just fuel for these fires. In a lot of cases, firefighters, the fire department, you have to let these type fires burn out, and that may be what's going on. We know Corpus Christi Fire Department is on the scene trying to extinguish the blaze. RTF is also on the scene, who specialize in these type of situations. We have several people missing. 6 is the latest confirmed number missing. And we've had multiple injuries. We know there have been some burn injuries, as you can imagine. The Coast Guard has transported several of the victims to Brooks Army Medical Center in San Antonio, where they'll be assessed and start receiving the care that they need. We do not have any reports of any deaths just yet. We do know that 6 people are still missing, and the crews are working to find them now. So if you were driving anywhere around Corpus Christi and surrounding areas, you noticed the just plumes of dark black smoke billowing up into the air. It can still be seen. For the most part, the inferno, the major blaze, has been contained. It's safe to say that the fire is under control. You're seeing a lot of just the burn off and the steam that's arising, the smoke coming from those flames. But at this point, the fire crews do have that blaze under control. We're going to keep you updated of the very latest, as this is an ongoing investigation, as several agencies are on the scene working to see just how the situation unfolded and where they go from here. And these are pictures of the initial explosion as the fire happened. And you can see all the facility there just completely engulfed and covered up in those flames. And the heat of that, there were several injured. We're still working to find out the very latest on their injuries and just how many people this involved. We'll have those answers for you as soon as we get it. Be sure to keep it live right here on KRIS 6 and on KRISTV.com, and also on our Facebook page of the very latest. We've got multiple crews out there working to gather information. Right now you're watching a fire continuing to burn near the grain elevator. We know the barge struck a pipeline, which erupted the pipeline. A fire ensued at that point, fully engulfing the barge. Then it spread to the grain elevator. And grain is like fuel, like gasoline on fire. It made a major explosion. We had reports earlier of a viewer that called in that said they felt the blast of that explosion as it unfolded and as it happened. There were also reports of people needing to be rescued out of the port area. The Coast Guard rescued several people out of the water, pulled them to safety. The Coast Guard and the fire department helped transport victims to Spawn Shoreline. They have confirmed that. We have spoke with officials there at Spawn who do confirm there are 6 patients from this accident. They're now receiving their care. The extent of their injuries, we don't know at this point. We have a full crew on standby trying to get the latest information on this. But this is Epic's. You're seeing live video right now of the Epic Products facility that caught fire, exploded. Calls started coming in around 8:05 this morning. It is 10:33 at this time. The fire has been going on for over 2 hours, but it looks like fire crews do have that fire under control. Now let's go back live to Javier Guerra. And Javier, it looks as to the fire department has the fire contained. Is that safe to say at this time?
Yeah, so as I told you earlier, this fire was incredibly black, and it was incredibly big earlier. Right now, it does seem that it is contained. Chief Rocha says they were working to mitigate that situation. But Paulo, I do have some information right now. Ashley Ramirez from the Coastal Bed Blood Center says that type O is needed right now. Type O blood. If you have type O blood, it is needed right now. And she did confirm to us that this is with the current situation. A lot of their blood is being depleted right now because it is being sent over to Christus Spawn Shoreline to the hospital for this emergency situation. So right now, if you know that you have type O and you can donate right now, the Coastal Bed Blood Center is asking that you go to their facilities so you can donate. I do want to give you that number right now. So let me go ahead and get that number for you. But remember, this is type O. So if you have type O blood, the Coastal Bend Blood Center is asking that you do go and donate. So right now that number is 361-855-4943. Again, that number is 361-855-4943. I spoke with Ashley Ramirez just a couple of minutes ago. She said that due to this current situation, they had to send their blood over to Christus Shoreline to the emergency situation that's happening. She did confirm that they are depleted right now because of the current situation. If you have type O, please go and donate right now. She is asking the Corpus Christi community, the Coastal Bend community, if you are in any surrounding cities, if you are in Kingsville, if you are in any of these surrounding cities like Robstown, like I mentioned, Kingsville, Aransas Pass, and you have type O, go and donate right now. The Coastal Bed Blood Center is asking for type O donations. Ashley Ramirez just confirmed with me that they are asking for type O. Due to the situation, they are depleted right now because of the fact that they had to send the blood that they did have because of this situation that you see behind me.
And Javier,
all right, Paulo, is there any other information right now?
Well, I am getting new reports into the newsroom from port authorities. Now, they were told they received notification around 8 o'clock this morning of a fire that was involving a natural gas pipeline. That's the pipeline we're telling you that the barge hit underwater. Now, operators, they isolated that line, and they are working with emergency responders and stakeholders to contain that incident to ensure the safety. Now, they also say, the Port of Corpus Christi says that there is no imminent threat to the public, to public safety. So that much we do know. That is contained to that facility in those areas. Now, the U.S. Coast Guard issued a safety zone in the Corpus Christi ship channel in the Inner Harbor from the Inner Harbor Bridge, which is US 181, to the Viola Turning Basin. No vessel may enter the zone without permission of the Coast Guard, and at this time, they're not letting anybody through. But there is no threat to the public or the public safety. The Port of Corpus Christi is committed to informing us of the very latest. Now, we can tell you there are still 6 people missing in this incident. You just heard Javier Guerra tell us that the blood bank is low on supply for blood type O and is needing any donators to donate some blood, and it is having to do with this situation. So we know multiple injuries have occurred and multiple people have been injured. The exact head count is not known at this time. We're working to gather and gain that information as it comes out. Now, KRIS Spawn, we do need to make a correction. KRIS Spawn received 4 patients, not 6 that was reported earlier. 4 patients are receiving care at KRIS Spawn right now. 2 are still in the hospital at Spawn Shoreline. No word on their conditions. 2 others had severe burns, and those were the ones that were transported to Brooks Army Medical Center's burn unit in San Antonio. Now, this is viewer video of passerbyers when the fire was fully engulfed. And you could just see how high those flames were and how dark that smoke was pluming into the air. It was seen for miles as this area, this refinery district of Corpus Christi, was under fire at the Epix product facility. The clouds are much smaller now. The flames are still being seen from above those holding facilities. But it does seem that the Corpus Christi Fire Department and other agencies have the fire under control. You can see a Coast Guard helicopter, a helo, flying into the shot right now as we take a look at this situation unfolding live at this area. Now, Epix product had a ruptured natural gas pipeline, is what we're learning now from the Coast Guard that the port authorities just released to us. There was a barge that struck a pipeline, natural gas pipeline, causing the initial explosion. But it looks like fire department and the firefighters have the blaze under control. The smoke is not billowing like it once was. However, there are still folks missing. And as you can imagine, that will be what follows next after this situation is completely under control and extinguished. It looks as to the Coast Guard helo is circling the area, or possibly transporting other victims. Now, the head count on those victims is unknown at this time. Last report, we had 6 missing, and we know crews are working to contain that. Corpus Christi Police Department have blocked off the Lantana area and access to that area. So if you have any travel involving this area, you're asked to detour. And these are pictures of the initial blaze. You could see that big cloud of fire, that fireball rising from the waters of that pipeline that was struck, a natural gas pipeline. Several crew members were rescued from the water in that area, whether they were blasted from from the boat or jumped off the barge for safety. Still a lot of questions to be answered. We will be getting a report from Corpus Christi Fire Department Chief Rocha shortly, but you can see the fire still burning. Calls came in about this at 8 o'clock this morning, and we are now at 10:41, and fire crews are still working to extinguish the blaze. It is under control. There is no danger to the public. Right now, it's just a matter of getting the fire extinguished and finding out exactly what happened and how this incident unfolded. We will keep you updated of the very latest as KRIS 6 still works to find out more information. Be sure to go online at kristv.com of the very latest information, and we'll continue to get reports in here into the newsroom. And once again, you can see the viewer footage that was sent to us, some cell phone video of this fire just erupting. It looks as if these are the first, within the first incident of this happening, those smoke plumes going up into the sky from the city's north side. It could be seen for miles. And we had calls coming into the newsroom, calls on our Facebook page, messages, people telling us about the incident as it was unfolded. We did have a viewer that called in and said she heard the explosion. She felt the explosion. She felt the rumble from the explosion as it unfolded. The size of the damage, the scope of the damage that has been done is unknown at this time. That information will follow as crews get this fire extinguished and crews can have access to the areas that burned and access to the damage to assess what has actually happened, what has been damaged, and what it's going to take to mitigate this type of situation. We do know at this hour 6 people are still missing. As you can imagine, the crews are working to find them. Our prayers go out to their families and them that they're safe, and it's just a matter of they're sheltering down somewhere for safety measures. But all that is unknown at this time. Several victims have been transported to Spawn Shoreline, and we know several others have been transported by the Coast Guard. We found that information out from Lieutenant Lyons, and they've been taken to the Brooks Army Medical Center facility, the burn unit there in San Antonio. So if you're just joining us right now, there was an explosion. You probably noticed the fire plumes, the smoke plumes billowing into the sky. There was a pipeline explosion on the Epic Products facility. A barge hit a natural gas pipeline, which caused the barge to get fully engulfed in flames, spreading to a grain elevator. It looks like we may have some information coming into the newsroom as we're watching these live video of a refinery, a pipeline fire that's going on in the refinery district there off of Lantana Navigation. Are we getting something just into the newsroom, Ronnie?
We have Max Bocanegra on standby.
Okay. We're going to be having some video, some drone video coming of the, here, let's hook him up on this microphone right here. We actually have a drone operator that has a drone that's up in the air right now. Max Bocanegra, he gave us some of those still photos that you saw of the initial explosion that happened. And Max, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, Paulo Salazar with KRIS 6. Thank you so much for aiding us on this coverage. You have a drone up in the air?
Yes, sir, I did.
What were your initial sights and sounds as this thing was unfolding?
My initial sights was just, the big cloud of smoke. I wasn't too sure of where it was, but it was, easy to get to because I could see it. My first thoughts was just, the safety of everybody. So, I have a perspective view that other people can't really see. And so, I heard there are some people missing and stuff like that. And, I could try to aid the officers and people in finding someone. And once I found I was safe and good, I just wanted to get some drone shots to, add a new perspective, because that's just what I do.
And you gave us a great perspective of the damage in the scene. You can see the fire, the water is on fire. The plumes of fire, the fireball coming up from the water. We're learning that there was a natural gas pipeline that was ruptured. But you can see even onto the land just how far that charring went.
Oh, yeah, and I got real close, and I was able to see the water shooting up, and just, it being devoured with smoke. You can't really see it, and I got as close as I could, and it was just boiling over. It just, looked like a volcano.
And we know crews are still working they have isolated the pipeline, and they're working to isolate or shut that valve off or contain whatever natural gas was coming out of there.
Yeah, we had there was crews out there doing the best they could. Our finest was protecting and guiding the traffic, making sure nobody got too close. But I was able to get in there with the drone and see all this stuff going down, and could see like, hey, this is nothing to be messing around with. It was in its full force when I was there. I think now it's dying out a little bit.
It looks as if firefighters do have it under control. What was the initial feel? Did you feel the explosion as this thing erupted?
I wasn't there when it erupted, but I did get close enough, and my drone got some burn marks on it, a little bit of smoke damage, but nothing major. You could just see that it was just enormous. Driving far away, it's one thing, but seeing it up close, it was just super high, real big. This is a real big tragedy, and like I said, I was just concerned, but wanted to make sure everyone was safe, and if I could spot anybody needing some help that the firefighters couldn't see, I was there willing to aid them.
We were just noticing moments ago in some live video that there was a Coast Guard helo that seemed to be circling around the incident site. Was there anything up in the skies when you were flying your drone and gathering the initial explosion of this thing?
I didn't get the initial explosion. I did see the Coast Guard coming in, and once I saw them here, I landed my drone, and I made sure to stay below like 200 feet just to keep all precautions there. And once they came around, I landed my aircraft so they could do their thing and not have to worry about any kind of interferences happening.
Now you've had a chance to go through this footage and this video that you got. Anything out of the ordinary that you noticed? Did you see any crew members or anything out of the ordinary?
I looked pretty hard with that. I couldn't spot anyone on the other side of the smoke, but I did get close to where the fire was on the upside of the wind, and I didn't see anything unordinary. Just all the crew workers working hard to take care of it, and I think our fire department did a great job, and just want to give them the credit they deserve.
Well, Max Bocanegra, I appreciate the still images, the video.
Yeah, I want to say the video should be up here shortly, and I was just happy that I was able to get it into the best news station, Channel 6.
Well, we appreciate it, Max, and stay safe out there, buddy.
Yes, sir. Y'all take care, and hope y'all be loving life.
All righty. That was Max Bocanegra. He was the drone operator of these are still images from his video that we have here in-house. We are working to get that.
Yeah, I fly drones for everyone, and do love and life stuff. People being happy, but sometimes tragedy happens.
And we are looking now at those still images that he shot. Just coming in to the newsroom. I'm just now receiving these documents. Governor Greg Abbott today has issued a statement in response to this pipeline explosion that happened in the port of Corpus Christi. Now, the state of Texas is working closely with the local partners, they say, as well as the Coast Guard to assist in any emergency response efforts following this explosion. As you can see from this video, the smoke coming from the fire is nothing of what it used to be, of what it was looking like just an hour ago, 30 minutes ago. Now, the Division of Emergency Management and the Texas Department of Public Safety personnel are on the ground, according to the governor's office. They're there to provide the support that's needed. The Texas Commission of Environmental Quality is also there, monitoring the air quality, making sure the air that we are breathing is safe and there is no harm to the public, which we have had reports come out already saying that the public is not in danger. The situation is under control. At this time, they're monitoring to find out how the situation started, what unfolded, what's the damage that has been done. There are 6 people still missing. Crews are working to find them, and as soon as they do and pass that information along to us, we will pass that information along to you. The state, also in this report from the governor's office, the state stands ready to provide any additional personnel or resources that are needed to mitigate this situation. And as Max said in that piece, that live interview we just wrapped up, the Corpus Christi Fire Department is on the scene. They just about have the fire extinguished. They definitely have it under control, and they worked quickly and safely to get this situation under control. Can we get shots on the other side? Can we go to the footage on the other side of that building where we actually saw the fire crews putting the water onto the blaze? Do we have that still? Okay. Well, we are looking at footage now. That's where the initial moments after the initial explosion took place. Okay. Do we want to cut away or stay on this? We have crews. Okay, we have people behind the scenes working to get someone on the phone. We're working to get an authority. We do know there have been several injuries, multiple people transported to hospitals in the area. And we are going to have Ashley from the Blood Center. What's Ashley's last name? Can you repeat that to me? Ashley Ramirez with the Blood Center. Okay, I think we're going to cut to a phone interview with Ashley Ramirez from the Blood Center. She is asking for blood donations, particularly type O. We are needing donors, and she did tell us moments ago that it is in response to this situation that is going on now. You could just imagine the extent of the injuries that were sustained in this type of explosion. The natural gas line ruptured after a barge hit it, and the fire of it, the aftermath of that fire, that is under control. What will follow now is figuring out the injuries that were sustained. How many people sustained those injuries? We don't have an official head count at this time. We do know 6 people are still missing, and so far the reports that we have received, there have been 6 victims that have been taken to area facilities to get medical care. There are some at the Spawn shoreline, and we know the Coast Guard has transported several victims to San Antonio, the Brooks Army Medical Center, its burn facility there. Corpus Christi Police Department is on the scene. They have set up a perimeter. We do know that Lantana has been completely blocked off as crews make their way in and out of the area to get this fire extinguished and investigate as to what happened. We spoke with Fire Chief Rocha earlier. He did tell us that they are looking into this. The investigation is underway. They've pretty much got this under control. It's a assessment period, finding out how this happened and what actually was done, what type of damages that this area and this facility sustained. We did have images earlier of the barge fully engulfed. We know it had drifted at some point. It's unclear if that has been pulled back to shore, if it's secured and no longer drifting. Now we were taking a look at the drone still photos. This is the drone video. This is when the explosion, moments after the explosion occurred, and that fire is coming from under the water. The barge hit that pipeline, and natural gas is burning from underneath, coming up through the water. You can see the smoke on the land nearby. Those embers still burning, the smoke coming off gives you a sense of just how big that blast was and the circumference of that blast. But this was drone video just moments after the explosion of that rupture of the natural gas pipeline and fire just billowing from underneath the water. That fire just boiling that area. And you gotta wonder if some of those injuries were not sustained when those crew members jumped overboard and jumped into that water that is clearly at some hot temperatures, if not boiling, right around where the accident happened. On the phone now we have Ashley Ramirez, who is with the Coastal Bend Blood Center. Ashley, I want to welcome you to the coverage and thank you for giving us a moment of your time. I know you are needing some donations right now. What can you tell us?
Yes, sir. Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for always supporting the Blood Center. We really appreciate it. We are in critical, urgent need of blood type O. So that's O negative or O positive. If that's you, if you're feeling well and healthy, please consider coming down to the Blood Center or visiting one of our blood drives and donating. Due to this horrific tragedy this morning, many of our units were transferred to our local trauma hospitals. So we just want to encourage everyone to please come out and donate. It's spare about 30 minutes, 45 minutes of your time. You are needed. And we also want to mention it's not just during times like this. You are needed always.
Now, Ashley, we know there are several people that were injured. We don't know the extent of those injuries. Can you tell us how much blood was needed? Is this a substantial amount that would lead us to believe these injuries are very substantial?
At this moment, I do not know exactly the amount. I just know that it was a significant amount because, it has depleted our blood type O. So, again, we are in critical need of blood type O.
Okay. Do we know of any reports of anybody coming forward at this moment to help out? I know we're needing those donations badly. Yes.
We are already getting phone calls are coming in. Appointments are being scheduled. So, the community is definitely stepping up and giving back. And we appreciate you guys. We still need all of next week to schedule. So, again, you're not just needed now, you're needed always. And we just want everybody, the community, to keep in mind that it's the blood on the shelves that saves lives. So this blood units that were used for these victims today were blood units that were donated weeks ago.
And we gotta love how the Coastal Bend residents and the residents of Corpus Christi always step up in time of need. I want to thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
I want to thank you for joining us, and will you keep us updated if you have to send out any more blood, and keep us updated of the folks that are coming in and supporting this and getting our our blood amounts back to the levels they need to be.
Yes. Yes, sir, we definitely will. And again, thank you so much for your support of the Blood Center. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you.
And that was Ashley Ramirez with the Coastal Bend Blood Center. Okay, we have one of our live shots up. This is Andy Lascano. Andy is joining us from the scene out there, this perimeter that has been set up for the media. Andy, what can you tell us happened? What have you found out so far? What are authorities saying? Anything new with the 6 reported that were missing?
Okay, this is what we know so far. The Coast Guard has given out this information that there are 6 people, 6 workers still missing. Earlier, 6 had to be taken from the scene. 4 of them were taken to Spahn Shoreline Hospital, and another 2 had to be transported to the Brooke Army Medical Center burn unit in San Antonio. This all as a result of the explosion that happened at 8 o'clock. Apparently, what we're told is that a dredge struck a submerged natural gas pipeline. That pipeline ruptured, causing the explosion. This is in the ship channel now, the port of Corpus Christi. I think Ashley was just reporting that the Coastal Bend Blood Center is putting the word out that they are in desperate need of type O blood so that they can help treat these patients that they're getting from the scene. But the Corpus Christi Fire Department, Corpus Christi Police, DPS, and the Coast Guard and the Port of Corpus Christi are just some of the agencies that are working this explosion out here. The best to tell you that it's off of I-37 in Lantana. It happened about 8 o'clock this morning. We're trying to confirm, let's just put it that way, we're trying to confirm some other information we have. And we are told that Chief Rocha with Corpus Christi Fire is the one that's going to be giving information as he can confirm it. So as soon as we get more, we'll certainly share it with you. But again, just to repeat that according to the Coast Guard now, 6 workers still missing. Earlier, when the explosion first happened, 6 had to be transported. 4 of them to local hospitals, Spahn Shoreline, and 2 have been airlifted to the Brooke Army Medical Center burn unit in San Antonio. And as I say, as soon as we can get further information, we'll share it with y'all.
Now, Andy, I know we say 2 or 6 are still missing. Do we know, are they looking on that ship for those 6 victims? Were they 6 victims that jumped overboard and may have drifted off? And do we know where the search is being held? Yeah, I'm guessing. I'm guessing that they're searching the entire area, not only the ship, a barge, a nearby barge possibly, and the waters, because I would imagine when the explosion occurred, everybody was jumping out of the way, to get out of harm's way. So I'm sure the search that is being conducted is being done of the entire area on the ship and in the waters there in the Port of Corpus Christi ship channel there. But again, this is information that I'm told that we're getting from the Coast Guard about 6 still missing. All right, Andy Lascano coming to us live from the scene. Keep us updated of the very latest. Do we know when Chief Rocha is set to address the media again? Well, I'm told that he was here a little earlier and is headed back this way. And as soon as he gets here, we will ask him for additional information to confirm some information that we were given earlier. I don't want to share that with you all yet until we can confirm it through the chief or to somebody else who is aware of what exactly happened out here. Before I let you go, Andy, do we know of any of our personnel, our responders, that have been injured in this? Anybody injured fighting this fire? It was a major blaze. As far as I know, no injuries there on the first responders. That's what I was told by a couple of officers with CCPD, that as far as they knew as well, there were no injuries to the folks who were first on the scene. That's what we know right now, Paulo. All right, Andy, thank you so much for your report. And that was Andy Lascano live from the scene where A major explosion happened earlier this morning in the north side of Corpus Christi in the refinery district. Now, he just told you moments ago there was a barge that struck an underwater natural gas pipeline. And we know that barge is the Wayman L. Boyd. That information has been released. And we know 6 people are still missing. They are searching for them. It's unclear where the search is being held, if they're still missing on that barge or if they're still missing somewhere in the ship channel. Now, the Port of Corpus Christi has closed the inner harbor down to any traffic. And we have, you can understand these injuries that have been sustained can be substantial. Now we have Dr. Anjum on the phone. I hope I'm saying that correctly, Doctor?
Yes. Hi.
What can you tell us of what type of health effects or injuries that would be sustained in a situation like this, an explosion of this magnitude?
Yes, Paul. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. I'm just in the room right now. Give me 1 second. Can you hear me now, Paula?
I can hear you loud and clear. We have you live on the channel right now. Doctor, what can you tell me about the health effects and the injuries that would happen from an explosion of this magnitude?
Yes, Paulo. I just unfortunately heard about this quite recently too, and I wasn't aware of that. And I'm in the hospital right now, so the word spread around. And while not everyone has the same sort of sensitivity to smoke exposure, it's obviously a good idea to avoid that smoke if you can help it. And especially if the smoke is really heavy and the exposure from that explosion and the fire is really heavy, especially for people who are in close proximity to that fire, is really bad for everyone. Now, some people are more at risk for these sort of exposures, and people who have chronic conditions, medical conditions especially that I'm talking about, particularly heart or lung disease, people who are much older, people who are caring for young children, and people with pre-diabetes or diabetes, people who are pregnant, are obviously at more exposure risk to this kind of smoke. And it can affect people in multiple ways. The problem with smoke is that it is made up of a mixture of gases, and we don't even know what sort of gases are there, and it all depends on the type of explosion and the type of smoke that we're dealing with. But all these fine particles are the ones that cause most of these problems because they get inhaled into the lungs very easily.
Now, we know it is a gas line, a natural gas pipeline that erupted and caused the fire. From that type of gas and the chemicals that are being released in that smoke, what type of effects does that have on the human condition? Inhaling anything like that?
Right. And, again, it's just very hard to determine based on the initial, explosion and smoke and fire that happens with all these kinds of accidents. But there's a lot of complex gases such as hydrogen sulfide, methane, and a lot of other complicated gas mixtures that are, in the air, and particularly in close proximity because of the burning of all those things. And they can have a vast majority of side effects and different types of presentations, especially in people, again, as I keep mentioning, are in close proximity, people who are directly exposed, then they can definitely go into respiratory compromise. It can affect the heart and the lungs particularly, and people are at risk of not being able to breathe. They feel short of breath. A lot of symptoms are what we expect with allergies. People start having runny nose, cough, a lot of wheezing, and once again, these things get worse if you have any underlying medical conditions. So the best thing for people in that vicinity is try to stay indoors and try to avoid any sort of exposure that happens because of these, smoke or explosions for that matter.
Now, we do know, Doctor, also that there were several patients or victims that were taken to Brooks Army Medical Center. I'm not aware of it, but do you know what type of burns and injuries do they treat at Brooks Army Medical Center?
Brooks Army is a very comprehensive medical center, so they have all the resources, particularly, in South Texas, and sometimes even if we have issues with our patients where we need more help, we have sent patients over there too. So they're fully staffed, fully serviced with all the specialties. So they have ICUs and medical floors that are dedicated to taking care of different sort of varieties of medical diseases. And they have a burn unit as well. So whether that's first degree burns, second or third degree burns, they are very well equipped of taking care of those issues as they have, all the specialties that need to be involved in taking care of these complicated patients, because not only you're worried about exposure to the skin, but also exposure to the respiratory tract. People end up on life support, on the ventilator as we call it, and on top of it, they need a lot of fluids to keep up with the fluid that is being lost from the skin because of the burns. So they are very well equipped in terms of taking care of all the complicated patients, and especially when it comes to injuries like this.
And in your professional opinion, if a victim is needing to be air flighted to another facility in another town, in this instance, Brooks Army Medical Center in San Antonio, if a victim is needed to be transported, how severe, or what would the severity of the burns be in that situation? Surely we're equipped in Corpus Christi to handle some burns. So it leads me to believe that the severity was pretty great in this instance.
Yes, and this is again, one of those situations where we expect the trauma from the heat and the smoke and the burn to be really high. Now, in Corpus, we have 2 hospitals that are level 2 trauma centers, and they're equipped with taking care of these patients for a brief period of time. But if you're dealing with extensive burns, and again, it depends on the degree of the burn and also the extent of the burn, in the sense that how much of the body surface area is affected, then depending on that, they may eventually need to be transferred to a place where they have a burn specialty unit, because ongoing care of these patients is very complicated. So for the initial, as we call the resuscitation part of it, it's okay to take care of these patients in the hospitals here. But for further ongoing care, if the severity is to an extent that you're dealing with a 3rd degree burn and the body surface area that has been affected a lot, then they need to be transferred to a place where they're very well equipped with these patients.
Well, Doctor, I thank you for your expertise in this matter and explaining to the public about what type of toxic gases these can have, the effects they can have on the public, and giving us a little information about the burn centers. We appreciate that. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Paulo, for having me.
Yes, sir. That was pulmonologist Dr. Anjun. He was informing us about the types of symptoms and what the human body would experience if they were to ingest and inhale, take in some of this toxic gases and smoke that was obviously released in this fire, this explosion. You're seeing some drone video courtesy of Max Bocanegra, who put his drone up the initial moments following the explosion, and you can see this large fireballs and plumes of smoke just coming from underneath the water. Now, we did have reports that came in that the ship was called the Whalen L. Boyd ship, and that struck a natural gas pipeline that was under the water. There were several victims that were pulled to safety from the waters, 6 to be exact, and I know we're told that there are 6 victims still, or 6 employees still missing. Crews are looking for them as we speak. You're watching now live video near Navigation Boulevard of the Epic Products facility that has been on fire for the last 3 hours now. Corpus Christi Fire Department is on the scene. They've got it under control. Look as if that fire, the smoke had started to disseminate a little bit. It looks to be a little thicker. We're not sure if that's a hot spot. In many of these cases, hot spots will be watched for an extended length of time to ensure that the fire fully extinguished. Sometimes they'll start back up again. And it leads me to only imagine that may be a situation of something else caught fire, because that smoke is definitely picking up and getting darker in color. We do have several crews on the scene to work to find out the very latest, and that'll be some of the questions I'll ask them once we get them on the phone. Right now you're seeing drone video of moments after the explosion happened. Again, this is a natural gas pipeline that was struck from underwater, and it ruptured the pipeline with the natural gas spewing out. The fire ensued, and you can tell by some of this video there's smoke in the ground. The grass near those railroad tracks is charred. You could see the barge there on fire. Several crews were pulled to safety from the water. As you can imagine, the blast, the explosion caused folks to jump overboard for safety, or just the sheer blast of the incident knocked them overboard. That is unclear at this time. What is clear is the situation is contained. The fire earlier, just moments ago, was just about extinguished. It seems to be that the smoke is picking up again. It's unclear at this moment. We're working to get a crew there to be able to see what exactly is burning, taking place. Something is burning, though. The fire and the smoke has picked up a little bit. We heard moments ago from Fire Chief Rocha. They are looking to mitigate the situation. They're assessing the damage. Crews are still looking for the survivors, if there are any survivors, the folks that are missing. Now, we do know, this just into the newsroom, family members are arriving at Spawn, and we're getting word that they are being kept outside. They're not being let in to the facility. We have a crew on the way there now to talk with some of these family members and try to get an idea or a sense of exactly what type of injuries we're dealing with and what these victims sustained in this explosion. Again, if you're just joining us, 8 o'clock this morning, the Corpus Christi Port Authority was notified that a barge had struck a natural gas pipeline that was under the water. And we are looking to establish, right now you're seeing our camera operator is on the scene. They were trying to establish a shot there at Spawn Shoreline, trying to get the latest from there. We know 4 victims have been transported there, and we know family members are starting to arrive there to check on their loved ones. The extent of those injuries and those victims, what they're going through, is unknown at this time. And it seems we've got multiple crews on the scene. One of those is KRIS 6 reporter Javier Guerra. Javier, seems to be like we are having audio issues. We'll work to reestablish that that connection there, but seems like Javier has some new information. We'll work to get that. If we can't get his shot up, is there any way we can get that information transported to me? We can write that down on a little piece of paper and get it to me, and I can inform the viewers of what latest information he has. Right now, you're watching live video from KRIS 6 Skycam, and you can see smoke billowing from the refinery district. It's over near Navigation Boulevard. Corpus Christi police have closed off Lantana. We know the Port Authority has closed off the port area, the ship channel, as crews work to assess exactly what has transpired there this morning. Fire crews are still working. Now, if you look towards the bottom of that smoke area, you can see water being sprayed on another portion of the facility. Maybe that's one of the things we can ask our people on the scene, is if there are other items that have caught fire, because it looks to be that smoke is picking up once again. Now we have just into the newsroom, our photographer Mike Salazar is at Spawn Shoreline. We were just seeing some video shots as he was working to get that shot up and going of the Halo flight there. And I believe we have some live footage. There is a shot of the Halo flight. It's unclear. Do we know if that just landed with some victims, or is it getting ready to take off? Okay. We're working to figure that out, but they are on standby. Halo flight is on standby, waiting to help if needed. So we've got several agencies involved on this pipeline explosion from this morning. It happened in the ship channel after a barge struck a natural gas pipeline. We did learn from Lieutenant Lyons of the Coast Guard. They have been one of the agencies on hand helping to alleviate some of the situation. They've transported 2 victims that we know of to Brooks Army Medical Center, the burn units there. And as you can see here again, live video of the smoke beginning to pick up, it seems, just billowing into the sky from the north side of town. That is the refinery district near I-37. Firefighters do have the fire contained. At what capacity, we don't know at this moment. They're only letting media get so close. They have set up a perimeter around the area. They have assured us that everyone, the public, is safe. There is no harm to the public with this. There is the environmental equality is on site to ensure that our air quality is what it should be. Okay, seems like we've got the transmission with Javier Guerra back up and going. Javier, anything new to shed on this and to tell the viewers about as the situation, it had seemed to be contained, the blaze at the time. Javier, did something else catch fire?
Yeah, that's right. Right now, as you can see behind me, the blaze is pretty contained at the moment, but Corpus Christi Fire Department, who are the ones who are heading the situation right now, alongside the Texas Department of Public Safety, the Port Police, and the Corpus Christi Police Department are here on the scene. Now, we were just told by Lieutenant Peña and one of the other lieutenants that Chief Rocha is not going to make a statement anytime soon, but we can expect to hear from him in just a couple of hours, hopefully soon. He is expected to maybe give a media update later on today, but what we do know right now, as you've said, is that 4 patients are at KRIS shoreline, and 2 of patients had severe burns, and they were transported to the Brooke Army Medical Center's burn unit in San Antonio. Now, when Chief Rocha was here, he did say that 6 were transported to the hospital. Of course, those 4 to the KRIS shoreline and 2 to the Brooke Army Medical Center in San Antonio. Right now, as you can see, I want the photog just to John, if he can get closer to this situation right now. As you can see, it's pretty calm right now. Not much going on right now, but when we were here earlier, Paulo, it was incredibly black. The smoke could be seen all the way from SPID on South Corpus Christi. As I was driving, I could see that, and as you can hear right now, the Coast Guard is out here as well. The Coast Guard is making sure that they have everybody accounted for. The Coast Guard has said that there are still 6 people missing. We are trying to update that information as information comes into our newsroom and comes to me. Again, Lieutenant Michael Peña said that right now Corpus Christi Fire Department is heading this situation. Chief Rocha right now in the media center or in the outpost center trying to get all of that information at the moment. Paulo, back to you in the studio.
All right, Javier Guerra reporting live out in the field. I want to go to, I've got Mayor Joe McComb, Corpus Christi Mayor Joe McComb on the phone right now. Mayor, thank you for joining us. What can you tell us about the explosion that unfolded this morning? And do we know the extent of any injuries or initial damage assessments?
Well, what I know right now is this, that it was a private company doing some dredging operations, and as I understand it, it was on one of the private docks along the ship channel. This is not a Port of Corpus Christi dredge in terms of, depth or anything like that. They were doing some dredging on it. I don't know the extent, but it's a private contractor. They had 2 barges out there, a larger one and a smaller one, and there were 18 people involved. Out of the 18 people, 8 are okay. That leaves you 10 people. 6 have been transported, assuming to KRIS and there's a search and rescue on for 4.
Okay, so we're searching for 4.
Right.
Okay.
Well, that's the information I have at this time, is that 6 have been transported to the hospital. 4 are the focal point of a search and rescue mission, and 8 have been accounted for and are doing okay. And it was a propane line that the dredge hit.
Okay, how deep are those, or just to give the viewers a sense, how deep are those lines, Mayor? And
I've told you all I know. I have no idea.
Okay. Do we know where they are searching for those missing? Are they scouring the waters or scouring the boats?
I imagine they're, I would say within a certain radius of the explosion, but I don't know. I've told you everything I know at this point, so any question you ask, and it's not a right answer, but I don't know.
Okay. Well, Mayor, I appreciate your time.
It's a fast-moving situation, and, they're busy focused on their search and rescue and to, put out or maintain any more fire or damage, so getting information is tight, but that's what I've gotten so far.
Okay, and it seems like they do have the situation under control, or at least contained to that area. Now, we did have reports, Mayor, that there was no danger to the public out of this situation.
Well, I don't think there is. Once they identified the line, and I don't know who is the owner of the line, but what they normally do is along those pipelines, there's different points where you can shut them off, and I think what they do is they shut them off to quit feeding whatever's burning, in this case propane, and they just let it burn out. But mainly there to fire is to protect the surrounding stuff around the fire, as I understand it. But so they identified what line it was, who the owner was, or they got a hold of some way to shut it down, and cut off the supply to the fire, and then they begin their search and recovery.
So we do know that line has been located and it is shut off. It's safe to say.
But it's in the unincorporated areas out in the industrial district. It's not within the city limits of Corpus Christi, but you've got a the refinery terminal fire company, as well as the Corpus Christi Fire Department, plus I'm sure the sheriff and the constables and the Corpus Christi Police Department all working together to keep everybody safe, and they practice this, so when things like this happen, they really do respond in a very positive manner. So I don't think the public is not at any risk that I'm aware of.
Well, Mayor, thank you for your time, and thanks for keeping us updated of the very latest as you're learning.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. That was Corpus Christi Mayor Joe McComb. We just wrapped up a phone interview with him where he was told us about the information that he was given. We know that we have RTFC on the scene, Corpus Christi Fire Department. There doesn't seem to be any danger to the public out of this situation, but there are still 4 that are missing, not 6 as originally reported, and that we passed along with you that information. Now, we do know that the line that was ruptured by the barge has been located, and that has been shut off. That natural gas pipeline has been shut off. There is no more fueling of the fire at this point. As you just heard the mayor say, it's pretty much waiting on a burnout, letting this fire just burn out, and looks to be that that's what's going on. The fire department has the fire contained, is not fully extinguished at this moment, but they are working to do that. And what will soon follow, if not parts going on right now, is this search and rescue for those 4 missing. And we're working still to find out the latest on the injuries of the others that were sustained. We learned there were 18 people in total involved in this incident. 8 of them are okay. 8 employees made it out just fine. 6 have been transported to medical facilities. 4 were taken to Spawn Shoreline. We know family members are starting to arrive over there, and we've got a crew live on the waiting there live on the scene to find out the latest information of those injuries that were sustained. And we know 2 have been flown by Coast Guard to Brooks Army Medical Center. Typically, when a person is flown to Brooks Army Medical Center, and this is what we learned just a short time ago from Dr. Anjum, who is a pulmonologist, that the extent to those injuries are typically severe. They need a specialized type of treatment and longer term treatment than an initial being treated initially at the facilities that we can handle here in Corpus Christi. So leads me to believe that those injuries were severe to those victims being transported there. We haven't had anything confirmed just yet, but we're working on it. We've got crews on the scene in several locations trying to find out the very latest on this pipeline explosion that happened earlier this morning on the city's north side of town. And that the mayor just said it's in the industrial area of the community. You're seeing live video right now of the smoke coming from that fire and that explosion. And we're still working to find out more information. We do have crews on the scene, and we spoke to Lieutenant Lyons of the Coast Guard. They relayed they did aid in the rescue of several of the victims. There were people that were employees that were on that barge that were found in the water, needed to be pulled to safety. And we know as of right now, there's 4 missing. We do know this was a private contractor that was dredging in the area. And they're the ones that hit this natural gas pipeline that started the explosion. At the time of the explosion, the barge was fully engulfed in flames. That quickly spread, however, to a grain elevator. And as you can imagine, and there is the smoke and the fireballs right now coming from underneath the water, and that's what was struck, was this underwater natural gas pipeline from the dredge. And the dredge, we know, is the Wayman Boyd, from a private organization, private contractor that was in the area doing some work. This was not a Port Authority dredge whatsoever. This was a private contractor. The Port Authority has, however, shut down that ship channel and is letting crews do what they need to do, keeping the safety of any passing by ships at bay. None of the ships are being allowed through as crews work to not only extinguish this blaze, but search for the remaining victims and those 4 remaining employees that have not been found just yet. We do have a crew at Spawn Shoreline as family members of those victims, 4 to be exact, are waiting to find out the latest of their loved one and waiting to find out the extent of those injuries. The smoke seems to be dissipating now. It's not as dark as it once was. So hopefully fire crews are close to getting this thing fully extinguished. What's going to follow after this is going to be a search and rescue of the missing, and also an assessment as to how this accident happened, how it was able to happen, and the damages that were sustained to the surrounding area and the facility there. We showed video of the large fireballs coming out from underneath the water and the smoke and the charred land that was nearby on the railroad tracks. A lot of damage sustained there. The extent of it just isn't known at this time. If you're just now joining us, you're seeing live footage of the fire, the explosion that happened this morning on the city's north side. Around 8 o'clock, calls came in. We do know the Port Authority was, they were called at 8 o'clock of the accident that happened. They quickly got into action, shut the channel down to prevent any other accidents to any other passing by ships or personnel that may be in the area. Quickly got into action to keep that area safe and shut off to anyone else. We know Corpus Christi police worked quick to shut down Lantana Road and access to this area as crews worked hard and continue to work to get this situation under control, which we know is at this point. The extent of the fire that's still burning and what is burning off is unknown. We did speak with Mayor Joe McComb just moments ago, who said typically in this situation, there's a pipeline eruption. Whoever owns the pipe or the property the pipe is on, in charge of the pipe, they're the ones that are then notified to get that access to that pipeline shut off. That has been done in this situation. They have contacted the owner of the pipeline. The pipe and the contents of that pipe have been shut off and are no longer fueling the fire. Typically at this point, it's going to be a fire burn-off. Firefighters stay nearby to keep it under control, make sure it doesn't ignite once again, and that seems to be the situation in this case. Okay, we've got live coverage coming up. Let's go back to Javier Guerra, who is live on the scene. And Javier, what can you tell us? Any new information been passed along?
Right now, we still have no new information. We are waiting on Chief Rocha. The new information that we have is the one that you received from Joe McComb about those 4 people that are still missing. But what we can tell you right now is that we've been on the scene all morning and the scene has quietly calmed down. I do want to go ahead and just have you look at those clouds right there. You can barely see the smoke, but we are seeing that this has just calmed down dramatically in just the past couple of hours. Right now, it does seem that this fire is controlled. Right now, this is right behind this port terminal, behind this interstate grain port terminal. But what we do know is that 4 people have been transported to KRIS shoreline here in Corpus Christi, and 2 others have been transported to the Brooks Army Facility Burn Unit in San Antonio. So they are being treated for the injuries. Now, the extent of the injuries have still not been relayed to us. We are working on getting that information right now. We just spoke to one of the lieutenants from Corpus Christi PD, who does tell us that right now the fire department, the Corpus Christi Fire Department, is heading this situation, is heading this fire, this explosion that was reported here this morning around 8 in the morning. So Chief Rocha is at the command center trying to get all that information, updating the mayor, updating the governor, and actually there was some information here that was sent in by the mayor. So I do want to go ahead, or information by the governor, Governor Greg Abbott. So I do want to go ahead. He did say that the state of Texas is working closely with local partners. They are out here to try to make sure that they have all of this information about those people who are still missing, and the injuries, the extent of the injuries that the people at the KRIS shoreline, those four people who were sent over there, and those 2 who were sent to San Antonio to that burn unit. Now, of course, as mentioned earlier, the briefing did go through Chief Rocha, then did go through the Nueces County Judge, Mayor Joe McComb, and of course, as mentioned earlier, Nueces County Judge Barbara Canales, Corpus Christi Mayor Joe McComb, and of course, that would make its way to the Emergency Management Center with Governor Greg Abbott. Governor Greg Abbott is closely monitoring the situation. As said there in that press release, he is getting information from local authorities. We are here in this area, and we're going to be here all day. You can count on us. And I just want to go ahead and say that we have different crews around Corpus Christi. We have crews at Shoreline right now, KRIS Fawn Shoreline. We've got crews at the Coastal Bend Blood Center, where just a couple of, maybe about 15-20 minutes ago, Ashley Ramirez did call me to go ahead and say that they are depleted right now. Ashley Ramirez is with the Corpus Christi, or the Coastal Bend Blood Center, and she did say that the Coastal Bend Blood Center has seen their blood depleted. So at the moment they need type O blood, and this is due to this situation that we're seeing right behind me, the situation of this explosion. As you can hear, we've got the Coast Guard still around the area. The Coast Guard is still going around the area trying to make sure that everybody is accounted for. As the mayor said earlier with Paulo, there are 4 people missing, and that is according to the mayor. Of course, the lieutenant said that the mayor is being briefed, as well as Chief Rocha, so they're getting all that information to go ahead and give us all of that information. Remember, you can count on us to keep you updated. Stay tuned to KRISTV.com and stay tuned to our Facebook. For now, that's all from the Port of Corpus Christi. Back to you, Paulo.
All right, I want to welcome Drew into this coverage. Drew, a pipeline explosion this morning that sent plumes of dark smoke up into the sky early this morning.
I have to tell you, I turned on the TV at home and saw that video of the fire and it coming out, a beautiful shot. I was wondering what the heck is going on. And a lot of people like myself who may have been doing something else. I have a 94-year-old mother here in town with me, and I was doing things with her before I realized what was actually going on. So people are going to be tuning in at different times of the day and wondering why we are here. Well, let's, if you don't mind, can we just sort of recap what happened? This
Absolutely.
explosion happened at about a little after 8 o'clock this morning?
We know that the Port Authority was contacted at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
There were reports over the scanner that were coming into the newsroom at about 8:05, and it was at that moment all we knew. There was some type of explosion that took place.
And still, remarkable video here. And what apparently happened, you can correct me if I'm wrong because I'm just coming into this, is they were dredging, and the dredging hit a pipeline and ruptured that pipeline, resulting in the explosion. And as you can see now, the fire continues to burn. Is that right? It
is. This was some drone video that was taken earlier. That was the barge. And we know the barge was the Wayman Boyd barge. It was from a private contractor that was dredging. You're correct in that?
A submerged pipeline.
It was a underwater pipeline, natural gas pipeline. So those plumes of fire that you're seeing, those fireballs coming, they're coming from under the water, which is amazing.
And right now, no vessels allowed in or out. We understand we do have some injuries. In fact, I believe there are 4 or 6 injured and still 4 people missing, and those who were injured, at least 2 of those with burns flown to San Antonio's Brooks Army Medical Center Is that correct?
That is correct. There were 18 in total employees. We know 8 of them are safe and doing just fine. The other 10 is what is in question. And we do know 6 of those have been transported to area medical facilities, 4 to Spawn Shoreline, 2 to Brooks Army Medical Center, the burn unit there in San Antonio, and 4, as you just mentioned, Drew, are sadly still missing.
Right, and I know you had Mayor Joe McComb on a little bit earlier, and one thing that I believe he mentioned is there is no threat to public safety of any kind. This clearly is not contained right now, but from what we understand, the public is not in jeopardy. Absolutely
correct. There has been a perimeter that has been set up by law enforcement and the fire department, the agencies that are out there, and there's multiple
Coast Guard, fire
of
department.
them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, several aiding in this. But yeah, there is no imminent threat to the public.
It's just tremendous video that we have been able to bring to you on this breaking news story that on a normal, beautiful Friday morning, doing some work in the ship channel, and this is what happened. Clearly a private company ruptured a submerged pipeline, and then this is the result. And unfortunately, there are some injuries, and as we mentioned before, still some people missing. You had talked to some other people. I know this morning some of our reporters are out and about trying to gather as much information as possible. Initially, I think some of the people who were injured were taken over to Spawn Shoreline, then transmitted or transported, I should say, to San Antonio, where at least 2 people are in the burn unit there at BAMC. But as I think Javier was just mentioning a few moments ago, Javier Guerra, that the Corpus Christi blood bank needs some help right now, type O blood. And again, this is an ongoing breaking news situation that we are going to continue to monitor until we get to a point where we know everything is safe and we can find out the parties involved, if they're going to be okay or not.
You're absolutely correct in all of that. We did speak with Ashley Ramirez with the Coastal Bend Food Bank, or not Food Bank, the Blood Center there. She did say that type O blood is needed, and it is in directly effect of the blood that they have sent to the hospitals.
Right.
They are aiding as well in this, and it just goes to show how important blood donations are, and they're needing donors now. They were already having calls when we first broadcasted this.
Listen, with COVID-19 and all the things that have happened this year, we have the tropics are on fire with storms everywhere, and then of course we have this explosion here this morning. And this is a year where I don't think you can get enough blood into the blood centers. But type O, from what we understand, is what they're looking for, what they need. Can we you said there were 18 employees working. We know that there are 8 that we are, some are unaccounted for, 4 unaccounted for, and the other 10 are safe, 4 unaccounted for, and then the other 4 have been taken to area.
There were actually 8 that are safe.
8
the
safe.
10, there are 10 that were harmed and injured in this.
Okay.
6 of them, we do know 6 have been transported to medical facilities. The Coast Guard transported 2 to BABC, as you mentioned, and 4 have been transported to Spawn Shoreline. And we do have reports of family members have begun to show up there at Spawn to find out the latest on their loved one. Another important thing to pass along, Drew, is that speaking with Mayor McComb, is in these situations, because we've seen pipeline explosions and some type of refinery burn-offs happen with all the refineries in the area. In this type of situation, they work very hard and fast to locate who owns the pipe, who's in charge of the pipe, and locate the turnoff valve. And get whatever contents are burning through there or burning off, shut off, and that has been done.
It has been done.
That has been done.
So this fire, for the most part, and we have a picture, I believe, of the barge on fire. We may or may not be able to get that up, but this fire then should burn out.
That's what they're waiting for right now. The Corpus Christi Fire Department and the RTFC They are on the scene, and that's what they're working on. It is under control. It's not completely extinguished.
There's a picture of the barge on fire there. Again, this is the William L. Boyd barge. Is that correct? That is on fire. And again, this is a courtesy of Southside Light News sending us this photo, most likely shortly after it happened.
And you can just imagine the heat and the chemicals that are coming off of that burn off. And we do know that there were multiple victims that were pulled out of the water to safety. And, you know, if you've ever camped out and put a campfire, you know how hot that fire, those little fires get next to you. Or if you've set off any fireworks, you know the heat that can be emitted from that.
Well, and that's part of the problem when you have some people missing. You can't get in there to do any search or rescue of any kind because it's just too hot. You can't get near the flames. And I don't know if, how the Coast Guard and how the firefighters are battling this fire other than just stepping aside. And as you mentioned, if they've shut the valve off to let it just burn out.
The latest reports, that's what we're hearing, and that's what we've been told is the valve has been shut off. Whatever contents were burning to continue that blaze has now ceased. And the firefighters are on standby and battling just the burnout as we speak. And you mentioned, you're correct, as you've got to get this thing burned out before they can start the search and rescue efforts and get close enough to some of these damaged areas.
And most likely this is going to be burning for some time. Even though that valve has been shut off, it's not just the gas that's burning, it's again, that's a barge, and that was ignited after the private company dredging struck a submerged pipeline, which created this mess this morning. And in the Inner Harbor is shut down, of course. Coast Guard, the Corpus Christi Fire Department are on the scene. We have some injuries. We have some people missing. We have some people who have been burned, who have been transported to Brooke Army Medical Center in San Antonio, which has there's this tremendous burn unit there. So most likely we'll try to get some more information on those injuries to the others, but the most important thing right now is the 4 people who are missing. You know, their family and their loved ones are on pins and needles right now, trying to get as much information as they can to find out the latest on you know, their family members who may have been over there this morning.
I do have some new information, Drew, that just came in to us. The Halo flight there at Spawn Shoreline, we were showing video of that earlier. Our photog, Mike Salazar, is on the scene there. They have launched 3 aircrafts. 2 of those and they're all heading towards Brooks Army Medical Center, the burn center there. 2 of them have landed and transported those patients. There is a 3rd that is in flight currently to get a 3rd patient there.
All right, so we have 2 that have gone to BAMC, and then a 3rd person is on its way now. So on 2 different flights, what you're saying?
Yes, three Halo flights in total have been launched. So there are 3 patients that are going. 2 have made their way already to Brooks Army, and 2 were sent there earlier by way of Coast Guard.
So additional person has now
additional person. So at my count, and you know, I can add small numbers. We're at 5. We've had 5 victims transported to Brooks Army Medical Center, which is a facility, if you know anything about the burn unit there, is a facility that can handle severe trauma, long-term trauma.
It was a military, they've changed the name. I think it's San Antonio Medical. They've changed it to SAMC now, but we all know it as Brooke Army Medical Center, having my father in the military, and my elderly mother. I've been over there many, many times to that location off I-35, but that's where, it doesn't matter where in the country, most likely Brooke Army Medical Center would be the place you would send a lot of people who may be suffering from severe burns. Okay, so 5, let's just break this, because these numbers, this is the most important information. Human life, potential casualties, we do not know. What we have to tell you what we do know, and again, this information is going to continue to come in, and when it comes in, we do want to report the facts to you in terms of the 18 employees who were there when this happened this morning and those who have been injured.
That's correct. We're being told it was a private contractor that was dredging in the area. 18 employees in total. 10 are okay. They did make it out to safety, or they weren't harmed by the initial explosion. It's unclear where at they were, what was their proximity to the explosion. So that leaves us 8. We know 8 have either been harmed, injured, or missing.
If we know we have 5 to BAMC, we know we have 10 that are okay. That leaves 3 people. Earlier we had reported there were 4 missing. So maybe that one of those people has been recovered and transported, because if there's 3 in BAMC, then that leaves us, if there's 5 at BAMC total, that means there's 3 still missing. Again, these are numbers that are coming into us. We can't confirm, no one has confirmed this with us at this moment in time, other than the fact that we just got the information about the latest Halo flight into San Antonio with another burn victim. So we understand the number is 5 in San Antonio.
That's what I'm leading to believe. I know the Coast Guard transported 2, and we've had 3 Halo flights launch from Spawn that are transporting 3 more patients there.
3 by Halo, 2 Coast Guard. You spoke with Mayor Joe McComb a little while ago live on the air here. Can you give us a bit of a recap again, what he had to say, other than the fact that we know that the public is not in jeopardy, they're safe?
Well, he was just like everyone else, had either turned on the TV screen or went outside. It didn't matter where you were around the city. All you had to do was step outside to see that large plume of smoke in the air. It was seen for miles. But he was contacted, and his initial concern, obviously, as mayor, was the safety of the citizens of his city. And he was assured that there was no imminent danger to the public. There was, our media groups were only allowed to get so close. So there was a perimeter that was set up. So officials had that under control. But he told me the owner of the pipeline has been notified. He was the one that passed the information among it being a private contracting company. So he's aware of the players in this incident. It's just unclear how the incident unfolded, and that's what authorities are working to try to find out right now, too.
And as to the why the dredging actually hits a submerged pipeline, obviously either they didn't know it was there or something else had happened. I'm not sure this is one of our Skycam that we've sort of turned toward the area where you see the smoke in the far ground there, but we've zoomed in, and again, just about from anywhere in the city, that black smoke can be seen coming from the Inner Harbor.
It seems to be just about dying out, Drew. About 30 minutes ago, the smoke had died down to about this, maybe about 45 minutes ago. It died down to about what we're seeing now, and then it seemed as if something else ignited, maybe something in that shipyard.
Right. We don't have a current live picture of the actual fire on the barge at this point. There's a lot to, I will say, putting out a fire and containing a fire like this. It's not just show up with the fire crews and start spraying water. There are other, and perhaps we can get an expert on to tell us exactly how you contain and douse a fire like this. Anyway, I know we have our reporters out in the field as well.
We do. We have multiple reporters in the field, and I know we have Andy Lascano live. He is available to give us the very latest that's been going on at the scene. Can we go to him now?
Yeah, Andy, where are you, and what can you tell us?
Well, right now we're outside the emergency room here at Bay Area Hospital, because it's our understanding now that 4 of the patients were transported here, and according to information we received at about 10:30 this morning, 2 others had severe burns and were transported to the Brooke Army Medical Center. That's at the burn unit there in San Antonio. And as we reported a little while ago, and this was confirmed, that the Coast Guard is still in search of 6 other workers from the scene of that explosion that happened at 8 o'clock this morning. Let's see what else we can tell you here. All the different agencies that are working here. But KRIS Spawn now, the latest information we have is that Spawn says They've received 6 patients. Officials say 4 were transported to the hospital by ambulance, 2 were flown to the hospital by the Coast Guard. All 6 are being treated at Spahn Shoreline. But again, we have new information that some of those patients are here at Bay Area Hospital. We just arrived on the scene, and again, we can tell you that according to the Coast Guard now, 6 others are still being searched for at the scene. And I think we've been reporting this pretty consistently all morning. The Coastal Bend Blood Center is asking if anybody can help them out and make donations of type O blood. That's what they need to treat these patients of this explosion. So if you can help out there, that would be greatly appreciated. But that's what we have right now here at Bay Area. I guess conflicting reports now, Bay Area or KRIS to Spahn. Both saying that, or at least Spahn saying that they received 6 patients, and 2 of them had to be flown here by helicopter. And then earlier this morning, we received reports that 2 had to be flown to the Brooke Army Medical Center, to the burn unit there. So we're going to continue checking on that information, and as soon as we can confirm exactly how many patients are here, how many were flown to Brooke Army, we're going to update you with that information.
And if he's still listening, I'm not sure, if you've seen any activity over there at Bay Area regarding potential family members coming over there. But we want to emphasize,
No.
Nothing. Okay, you're still there?
Yes. No, there hasn't been any activity, at least out here in the emergency drop-off and pickup area. We haven't seen any flashing lights or sirens or anything like that. We have to go inside, obviously, to see if there are any family members. We don't see any. Well, there's a couple of folks out there on the in the overhang there, but the ones that I spoke with said that they are not here as family members of the victims of this explosion. So as soon as we can get you updated information, we'll certainly bring it to you, Drew.
Okay, Andy Lascano, very much thank you. We are covering breaking news at this hour. It's just after the noon hour. We're this morning just before, most likely 8 a.m., pipeline explosion near the Corpus Christi ship channel, and that explosion and fire continues to burn. We do have injuries, and we want to emphasize right now we are throwing numbers and people who have been transmitted. And here's what we can tell you right now. And again, we want to make sure we are 100% accurate with this information. Andy mentioned some numbers. We even talked about some. Here's what we can tell you right there on the screen right now. Paula, go ahead.
Well, we know that 8 a.m. near the Corpus Christi ship channel, there was an explosion of a dredge hitting an underwater natural gas pipeline. According to this, 6 were injured, taken to Spahn Shoreline. 2 others were injured. They were flown to San Antonio burn units, and I know by the Coast Guard. We spoke with Lieutenant Lyons of the Coast Guard earlier, and as of right now, 3 people are still missing. Drew.
Okay, so you just add those numbers up. 6, 2 injured, 8, 3 missing, 11 of 18 employees. So that's 7 people that
have been affected by this.
Well, there's 7 people who are that we are either okay, because again, we've thrown those numbers that we thought we had 8 that were safe, but that may not be the case. It might just be 7 now, but these are the current numbers. Again, this is a fluid breaking news situation. We will give you the very latest information when it comes to us. We want to make sure that these numbers are confirmed and accurate. We can tell you there were injuries. We can tell you that Corpus Christi, the Coast Guard is out there. Corpus Christi Fire Department is out there, and most likely, as Paulo had mentioned before, the valve has been shut off from what we understand, meaning most likely that fire will burn itself out. That's going to take some time.
And that's the typical scenario in this situation. Firefighters will let that burn out. They will remain on the scene because, as you know, Drew, you've covered enough fires. There are hot spots that could form, and hot spots to keep a lookout for.
There's some great footage right here of the drone, and we want to mention right now, again, for accuracy purposes, Lieutenant Lyons with the U.S. Coast Guard says 4 people are missing. 4. All right, 4 people are missing. We have talked about those injured. We've talked about those total number of employees, 18. 4 people missing, but as we mentioned, because of the fact that this fire is going to burn itself out, the chances of getting close to this area to do any investigation as to the whereabouts of these missing people, that may take some time, and that's got to be really difficult on family members.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we do know, because we have photographers on the scene at Spawn Shoreline, we do know family members have begun to start showing up there to find out the latest on their loved one, how badly they are injured, what type of medical help that they're going to need.
Absolutely.
We've already had the reports of 3 Halo flights taking shape beyond what the Coast Guard flew to Brooks Army Medical Center. So that leads me to believe those injuries are severe. They sustained some trauma that they need a more specified department or unit.
Right, and
to help them.
the burn unit at Brooks Army Medical Center is one of the best in the world. This video to me is just astonishing that we were able to kind of bring this video to you to show you. I'm not sure what time this was shot, but just incredible footage of the drone approaching the area of the harbor and then making its way around to get us a bird's eye view of exactly what's going on down below on that barge.
And you didn't get the sense of this when you stepped outside and saw the plumes of smoke, because you've got those huge silos that are blocking the view of the fire. And right on the left side of that building, or the back side, that's where the media has been stationed. Even when we took our live shots there, all you can do is see the smoke coming from above the buildings. You don't get the sense of the fireball that's right on the other side of that building that was burning full fluid at one time.
Yeah, just incredible video. 18 people were there at the time prior to this happening, 18 employees. This is the William L. Boyd barge right there at the ship channel, where a third-party dredging operation accidentally somehow struck a submerged pipeline, and then that caused what you're seeing here. Injuries involved, and no threat to the public, according to Mayor Joe McComb. And obviously that's extremely important, but this is just a very, very unfortunate situation that's going on. I'm sure the proper authorities are doing their best to make sure they can get this fire under control, whether it be let it burn out and or treated somehow. And again, I don't have the expertise to tell you how that happens. I just know they do it with more than just fire hoses. And you don't really see a lot of fire hoses on that fire, because it really isn't going to do any good.
No,
it's
really
going to continue to burn no matter what. So.
And I can tell you, though, since hearing about this right when it started, and those initial reports, we know all the agencies involved did act quickly and safely. The port was quick about getting the ship channel shut down. Fire crews were quick about getting the perimeter set up, and getting the water and the resources needed to start extinguishing this. So,
and really keeping the public safe. You don't want anybody near this. And again, we are a few miles, this is our Skycam, a few miles from this location, and you can see in the distance, if you are anywhere in the coastal bend for the most part, at least Corpus Christi area, you're going to see this black smoke in the sky.
And we've got some major things going on over there in that ship channel. Some major products that can burn for a really long time, make some very big explosions, and to keep the city safe and can have that incident contained.
Right.
Authorities are doing a wonderful job.
And because the inner harbor is closed, you think about the ships that were going to make their way in with product, or those out. They're in a situation where they have to hold tight.
Well, they're on standby now.
I was just given this information from Veronica Herrera, our assistant news director. This is from Mayor Joe McComb. 18 people involved, 2 barges. It's hard to tell from the video that we had been watching. 2 barges are involved. 18 people, 8 were found okay. That leaves 10. 6 were taken to the hospital. 3 of them are at BAMC, and 4
are missing.
Right now are missing. Now, they could have called out sick, just don't know, but we do know 18 employees. We can't believe that there were 18 people there at the time this morning, but 4 are missing, and that's the latest information. And again, this is from Mayor Joe McComb, who, like us, is trying to get the most updated, accurate information. If we could get this information typed up and on a full screen so we could show our viewers that we have 18 people involved, 8 are found okay, 6 taken to the hospital, 3 are at Brooke Army Medical Center in San Antonio, and we just pray that they're going to be fine and be okay and recover from this. And of course, 4 people are missing. Tremendous explosion and fire. I don't know if we've heard from anybody who was near the scene, who could feel it when it happened. Feel the ground move below them. But
we did.
I'm sure that was a tremendous explosion.
Oh, as you could imagine, we did have a viewer call in to the newsroom shortly after this happened, said something's going on. I think there was an explosion. I felt it in my home. Then she stepped outside and saw the smoke billowing up in the sky.
I wonder where that person, how close that person was to this area. But
I don't know.
You have to, and also what you might have heard, what it sounded like when it happened. So. Just a tremendous, unfortunate incident, but authorities are on the scene. They're doing everything they can at this time to keep the public safe, I should say, and to make sure that they do what they need to do to get this fire out. And number one was to get the valve shut off to the gas, and they apparently have done that. So again, this is video that was taken earlier. We don't believe the fire is burning like this right now, but you can see what it was like shortly after that explosion this morning around 8 o'clock.
Yeah, this is video from a few hours ago, at least. That valve, you could see the water coming up, bubbling up. That's when the valve was not shut off. That valve has since been shut off. Now, there were some other parts of the facility that have been caught on fire, and we know fire crews remain on the scene there to get this thing completely extinguished.
Yeah, and we should say that all the local hospitals are on standby if they are needed to transport anyone else. Depending on injuries, we do know that we have some people at Spawn, and Andy Lascano just did a live report from
Bay
Area Hospital. So depending on the injuries, once they get treated and diagnosed, these other hospitals, and you know that the Coast Guard is ready and when necessary to, if they have to transport anyone else, they will do so. And out of San Antonio, in terms of the burn victims at Brooke Army Medical Center, our affiliate in San Antonio, I'm sure, is going to be covering a big part of that part of the story. So we want to say that Spawn says they have only received 4 patients. 2 of those were sent to Brooke Army Medical Center. So we want to make sure that this is an update again. Spawn received 4 patients. 2 were halo flighted to San Antonio Brooke Army Medical Center. So this is important information because we're talking about people's lives, and this is to get this information accurate is utmost. We don't want to. We're telling you what we have been told, but we don't have. I can't tell you other than if Spawn says they received 4, we have confirmation from Spawn. If Mayor Joe McComb says 18 people were involved, there were 2 barges, then we have that confirmed with Mayor Joe McComb. If the mayor tells us 8 were found okay, we have that confirmed with Mayor Joe McComb. 6 taken to the hospital, 3 to BAMC, confirmed Mayor Joe McComb, and also 4 missing, according to confirmed with Mayor Joe McComb. That's the information that we have right now, and that's what we have to go with. And we certainly hope that we can have some good news regarding some of these people who are missing, that we can pass along to you here, hopefully, in the next little while.
And Drew, if there is a silver lining in all of this, these tragic situations ensure that other tragic situations down the road don't happen again.
Absolutely.
And you can know that the Port Authority and all those agencies involved are taking note.
Absolutely. But the right now the most important thing is human life, and for those people who have been injured, we wish them the best, and we hope that we can pass along some good news regarding their conditions. But when you've flown to San Antonio, that most likely you've got some severe burns to have to be treated at just a tremendous burn unit. And thankfully, Brooke Army Medical Center is only 45 minutes away or less on a helicopter.
At most.
These
right.
people are getting to the best treatment they could possibly get, and it doesn't take very long to get there, and that is fantastic. So.
And you know, I spoke with a doctor earlier, a pulmonologist, who was explaining sometimes it's not just the burns to the skin, it's the chemicals that are ingested,
Yes,
the chemicals that are inhaled, and the damage that's done to the lungs. And being able to breathe, gasping, taking that breath of air, a lot of times that is where a lot of the damage is done.
And you look at the people, you know, the lucky few who were there this morning who were able to get in their cars and drive away, but who knows what they inhaled when they were there. So who knows what their conditions may be.
A lot of questions, not enough answers right
Absolutely.
now. But
you just don't know.
We've got crews on the scene to get all those answers.
Absolutely, and we have heard from Andy Lascano. We've heard from our Javier Guerra, where the Coastal Bend Blood Center needs some blood, desperately needs some blood. They've needed some blood during this COVID-19 pandemic, and now with this today, they are looking for type O blood, the Coastal Bend Blood Center. So if you could help out with that, that would be great. And we will continue to bring you these live pictures from the Inner Harbor here at Corpus Christi, where this morning this explosion happened and the fire continues to burn. Again, we hope it will burn itself out. We'd love to get an expert on who could tell us a little bit more about how that works.
I know we were in talks with the Corpus Christi Fire Department. Chief Rocha was supposed to be updating us. I'm not sure how close we are to getting an update from Fire Chief Rocha. And
you can see here, this picture here is somebody shooting from their cell phone. And again, it looks like this shortly after it happened, because look at the smoke. I didn't mean to interrupt, but it's just
the fireball coming up from that.
Just tremendous. And it happened right there, right up next to the shore.
And you could see some of the grass there, Drew, that's charred on the other side of the railroad tracks, and even further. As this drone kind of pans around a little bit, you'll see that the charred grass there, which leads you to believe that initial blast, the circumference that it covered,
absolutely,
would have clearly gone over that next barge that's sitting right next to it.
Well, that's the other barge. You know, there's two barges involved, which we haven't talked much about. We don't know what the personnel was on that other barge. They could have been working together, same company, don't know. But a fire that size, whatever's near it is going to burn. Let's put it that way. As you mentioned, the grass, but right up against the shore is where that happened. So I don't know how deep of water they're working in right there, but.
Well, we were having initial reports that there was a new pipeline being put in at the Epic Products. It's unclear if that new pipeline hadn't been put on a map just yet, or how new that pipeline was, or we don't know how familiar this private contractor was with these waters in the channel there. So,
Epic.
Again, a lot of unanswered questions.
Yeah, again, we keep showing you this video because, again, we know people are tuning in at different times of day and turning on their television sets looking to watch something at our new newscast. And we're looking at this tremendous drone video shot from this explosion and fire that happened just after 8 o'clock this morning in the Corpus Christi ship channel, where, as we've been talking about, they were dredging and I guess struck a submerged pipeline, and that caused the explosion and fire. We have 18 people were there at the time. 8 are okay. 6 have been taken to the hospital. 3 of them were flown to Brooke Army Medical Center in San Antonio. And right now, according to the U.S. Coast Guard, Lieutenant Lyons, 4 people remain missing at this time. We haven't gotten an update on the actual fire itself and the gas and the valve being shut off, what that means or how long that takes for it to burn out. Because even after it burns out, Paulo, you have to, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of times that have to go by before they can actually get in there because of the tremendous heat.
Absolutely. And this isn't live video that we're watching right now. Is that correct?
It is.
This is not live video. This is from earlier. The fire has been contained much more than that.
You see the helicopter right there in the right-hand side of the picture here. This is live right here.
This is live right there, yes.
Big difference from the drone video we just saw to this. You see the smoke still coming out, so that tells me that that billowing flames and the smoke that we saw earlier has subsided tremendously. In fact, if we had you can tell it's not very windy out there today, so that smoke still is coming out of the area. But it looks like that fire might be getting pretty close to being out. That's just an assumption on my part. But if they shut the valve off and let it burn out, then it certainly isn't burning as much as it was earlier.
They're working from last year we heard they've got the fire contained. They were working to just let it burn out. Firefighters are on the scene to ensure that is done safely and properly. What's going to come next, though, Drew, is the assessment of all of this.
And what happened.
Still trying to locate those 4 that are missing.
That's right. Do we have the information we can put up on a full screen to kind of give you an idea of what exactly happened this morning and what we know at this 12:20 p.m. hour?
Well, we know the ship channel, the accident happened in the ship channel at 8 a.m. The Coast Guard says it was caused by a private contractor who was dredging the area. Mm-hmm. It's unclear if, we know there were 2 dredges out there, 2 barges. Right. It's unclear if they were working together or separate, but we know there were 2.
And one of them struck the submerged pipeline that created the explosion and the subsequent fire.
And there were 18 people involved.
Right.
Luckily, 10 were able to get to safety.
Yeah, well, 6 in the hospital, 3 flown to San Antonio burn unit, and the most important number here is the fact that 4 people are still missing. But the fact that 8 were found okay, that's fantastic.
8, you're right.
8, yeah, and 6 to the hospital, and those 3 at the San Antonio Brooke Army Medical Center. They have been there now for a little while, and they're getting the best treatment they can possibly get, as are those other 3 who were in our local hospitals, which are all on standby to do whatever they need to do to be ready to accept any more patients if any of these 4 turn up. If they are injured, we would like to get, obviously, them to one of our local hospitals as well, and they're looking forward to that. Here's some fresh video just coming in. Paula, what do we have here?
I was told just in my ear like you were, this is the newest video coming in right now. This is happening. You can see how much of that fire is contained. It's just about out.
Yeah, it's going to be out, looks like pretty soon, and you can see that there's a boat right there. I don't know if that's a Coast Guard, but you can see the distance. They're having to keep that distance, and the fire is much, much different looking now than it was.
Well, you can see the charred remains of the barge in front of there. In front of this blue boat, that's in front, you could see how charred that boat and that barge was. You could only imagine when that explosion happened, the damage that ripped through that cabin.
And those people there, the fact that many of them got out.
They're telling me the Joe. This is
Fulton
video
corridor.
from
Okay.
Joe Fulton corridor.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, this is he pretty much got up close here, and this is a good video to give this to the latest. This is the most up-to-date video that we have, showing you just how much the fire is still burning, and also how much it's subsided since earlier, a few hours ago.
Well, the agencies they worked quick and swiftly to set up a perimeter around this.
Look at the difference.
So, exactly. Our cameras are on the other side of those buildings that are right there by that shore. Mm-hmm. We were stuck to that zone. So to get that fresh video that looks to be coming from the top portion of your screen now, coming from over there, gives us a good idea and a good view of where the fire is now.
Yeah, he zoomed in pretty tight, and if you could show that picture of the video one more time, we can show you the difference between those. That fireball has to be going up in the air 80, 90 feet or more, and then look, this is here, it's tremendous difference. So the fire is
absolutely
burning itself out, and that's first step, is to get this fire out, and then after that, they can start doing some assessing of the damage. And again, the 4 people who are missing, they can start searching, recovering, and hopefully they will be found.
And, you know, right now that barge is the fire's still going over there, and it's just too hot to really get on. Any personnel can't gain the access needed at this time. You just got to hope and wish that those 4 missing weren't stuck on that barge.
Yeah, let's hope not. And we do know that the people who survived have one heck of a story to tell, having been there and experienced this sort of tremendous explosion and fire. I'm sure they had, it's one of those things where everything seemed normal, then all of a sudden, boom, when that pipe ruptured, boy, that was, I'm sure that was a tremendous jolt explosion, and I'm sure everybody there were just, they had seconds, if that, to try to get themselves out of harm's way.
And the road ahead for those that were injured. We know BAMC is a world-renowned hospital for burns. Mm-hmm. You don't just go there for your run-of-the-mill burn. These are the most severe mm-hmm. situations. They've got the personnel, the expertise to handle that. And to hear some of the victims were sent there, you know, their injuries were significant.
Yeah, we don't know what was going on the barge at the time. We know the dredging was happening, but somebody had to be operating the equipment. And,
absolutely.
You know, so, and there again, we have mentioned, and kind of a newer information, in fact, that there are the 2 barges involved, according to Mayor Joe McComb. So how that works with 18 employees on those 2 barges, but that was the crew that was there. And so, yeah, you're right. It's just one of those unfortunate situations. We hope those people who have been sent to San Antonio are going to be okay, and that the 4 people who are still missing, you know, just pray for them and hope that they can recover them, find them.
And it's worth mentioning, Drew, that this is not a Port Authority ship. It was not a local ship. It was it did happen in the ship channel. Port Authority worked quickly and swiftly to shut that channel off to any access of other ships and mm-hmm. barges that may need to come and go through there to keep that area safe and secure.
Yeah, and that's going to be that way, I'm afraid, for a while. So that if you go to the beach and you see some ships, you know, sitting around out there, you wonder, what are they doing? Well, they're on hold. They're going to stay right where they are until the coast literally is clear.
And the port is a major mover and shaker. You know, this is going to be create a backlog for them for sure.
It is. But first things first, get the fire out, take care of the people who are there, find them, get them treated, and then assess the damage and find out how this could never happen again. You mentioned a new pipeline had recently been, for lack of better words, installed, and maybe the maps that they were using when they were doing the dredging, there was a new, perhaps this was the new pipeline, we don't know. We have not been
It's
told.
really only speculation until we can hear from authorities as they do their job and get to the moment of assessment and really take in the damages that were done.
Right. So this is a scene. This was a scene earlier this morning, shortly after 8 o'clock, when the pipeline explosion happened at the Corpus Christi ship channel. The dredge striking a submerged pipeline, causing the explosion and the fire. The valve to the gas was shut off at some point, and that has been the reason why during the course of the last few hours we've seen this huge plume of smoke and fire subside. And we showed you a video just a few moments ago, the latest video that we have, and the fire is not contained, but it's certainly getting close to burning itself out.
I mean,
now.
You almost see waves coming off of the fire spewing out of the water. The pressure there is just immense.
Yeah, you're right. Right there at the base of the flames, you see the water being pushed away. And
then how far the blast went, the circumference of that, spreading onto land over fire tracks.
Right.
I mean, this thing was a massive, massive explosion that viewers called in. We had a viewer call in, said she felt the explosion when it happened.
I can imagine. I mean, how could you not? Look how huge of a fire that is. That's just tremendous.
But you got to give our agencies that got into action, you got to give them big props. This thing was, a circumference was contained, a perimeter was contained quickly.
Right, Coast Guard and the fire department and, everyone involved did what they needed to do to keep the public safe.
It's what they trained for,
Yeah.
Drew.
But we're gonna hopefully we can keep updating and maybe get some fresh video as we move along in the course of the afternoon. But that's a big difference. I mean that fire there versus what we saw a little while ago, and it's been 8 o'clock this morning. You look at it 6 hours ago, and it's still burning, and most likely it'll be burning a little while longer. I don't know how that works, all the gas that was in that pipeline, but it takes a while for it to burn out when you shut that valve off. It's still just so flammable.
A lot of time they'll keep they'll keep this situation burning to, one, you don't have emergency personnel in harm's way.
Right.
Two, you're not using up the resources that you do have.
And you don't want any more accidents to happen.
Absolutely, and we do know 0 first responders have been injured in this thing.
Yeah, that's great. But I think that's part of it, is you let it burn out because only they know what the possibilities are of something else triggering if you don't handle this properly. And I think we have, we have reporters out there who've been giving us updates all morning, and I think we have
Javier Guerra. He was one of the initial reporters on the scene, standing on the other side of that building where we were watching the fire. He's got a report now, an update to give us. Javier, what can you tell us?
Paulo, Drew, yeah, that's right. I've been here since about 9 in the morning. Remember, this was reported at 8 in the morning. We got here as soon as possible, and I could see the flames all the way from the south side on SPID. It was just thick black smoke that you could see all the way to the south side to SPID when I was driving this way. But right now, as you can see, I just want for you all to get a better look at what's going on. It seems that the situation has calmed down dramatically in just the past couple of hours. Right now, what we know is I actually spoke to the Coast Guard just a couple of maybe 15 minutes ago, and they did tell me that at the moment they are still searching for 4 people. So they are still searching for 4 people. 4 people are still missing. Right now we do know that 3 people were flown to a San Antonio burn unit, that Brooks Army burn unit in San Antonio. 6 people were hospitalized. 18 people were involved. The Coast Guard again says that this was caused by dredging and that pipeline that did explode this morning. Remember, this was caused at about 8. And just as I am here, I'm seeing that the RTFC is actually on the scene as well. And a lot of you may be saying, what is the RTFC? Well, that is the Refinery Terminal Fire Company. They are the ones who take care of situations that are related to any fires that happen at any of these refineries. So I do want to catch that right now. We do see that the RTFC is leaving at the moment. They were actually here at a fire hydrant getting getting water so they could head back to the area. As you can hear behind me, the Coast Guard still searching the area. The Coast Guard helicopter has been just flying around the area constantly, Drew and Paulo, just trying to see if they can find any of those 4 missing people. Right now, I am going to go ahead and call the Coast Guard in just a couple of minutes to find out if there's any update. But what we do know is that 6 people were hospitalized. There are 3 people that have been transported to the Brooks Army Medical Center, that burn unit over there in San Antonio. We are getting you the latest information, relaying you all of that information. But as I was saying earlier, when I got to the scene, the smoke was just intense. Now, there is no smell. There is no smell at the moment. Chief Rocha has not updated us yet at the moment. He did tell us that they are investigating still to determine the exact cause. What we do know is that according to the Coast Guard, that dredge did hit that pipeline, causing it to explode. But we are in constant communication with the Coast Guard, with the RTFC. We are in constant communication with CCFD, who is actually heading this right now. According to Lieutenant Michael Peña, he did tell me that CCFD is on the scene as well as Port Police. we're actually here on the scene to get you all of that information. As you can hear, that helicopter is still in the area, searching the area, making sure that they are trying to find those 4 missing people. For now, that's all I have, but remember, you can count on us to keep you updated via Facebook and KRISTV.com. For now, back to you guys in the studio.
And I don't want to let him go just yet. I got a quick question if we could still get Javier. I'm wondering, Javier, if we do know this was a new pipe. It was a new pipe that had been installed. Do we know if the contractor was familiar with those waters? Was there a map he was going by? How did he miss or not miss this pipe? Do we know the answer to that yet?
I think he may be having trouble hearing us. Yeah, I don't think he can hear us. The other question I would like to have asked him, since the refinery terminal fire company being there, they would know what the standard protocol is for them in terms of a situation like this where a pipeline bursts. What happens when you let it burn out, and then what the steps are accordingly. So, but they are there, and obviously that's great news because most likely the fire will burn itself out in short order. We're going to continue with our coverage all the way up to the top of the hour for those of you at home, and then continue, of course, with the latest, most up-to-date information for you on our later broadcast on Action 10 News at 4 o'clock on our sister station, KCTV, and of course, 5, 6, and 10 on both KRIS 6 TV and Action 10 News. But we're here, we're giving you the most updated information. The most important thing is public safety, number one, and right now, according to Joe McComb, the public is not in any jeopardy.
They are safe and sound. You can check that one off the list. And Drew, I was fortunate enough to do a story with RTFC, one of the agencies that are out there. Mm-hmm. They specialize in these types of fires. They specialize in serving refineries. They are a private agency. They're not state funded. The refineries and the businesses, the industries that they serve pay for their services, and they have the best of the best.
Are they here? Do they have a substation here?
Yes, they do.
This area? Okay.
They serve. They are, I believe, if I remember correctly, Upriver Road, and they serve 100-mile radius.
Wow.
Of agencies, and they are ready to go on a moment's notice. But the good takeaway from here is they specialize on these types of issues.
Yeah. Refinery terminal fire, that tells you right there.
You're dealing with a pipe that is transporting some natural gas, and that's not a quick, easy turnoff. You're going to want somebody that knows what they're doing, and they definitely do. And they located that valve and the owner of that pipeline quick, and we're able to get that shut off at least.
And I'm wondering if OSHA is involved when it comes to when you're dealing with water and barges, how that exactly works as well, because the occupational safety and health is one of those things where the investigation typically always takes place when there's an accident on the scene of construction or building under construction and that sort of thing. Whether that's the case here, we'll have to wait and see. We do know this: once that fire is out, that's when a lot of the work just begins for these people that you're talking about.
Yeah, talking about the environment, Governor Greg Abbott released a statement earlier once he found out about the pipeline explosion. And in it, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality was on the scene and to provide and ensure that the air quality was where it needed to be and that there wasn't any harm to the area. So all the players that need to be there are there.
Well, that's great. And again, you're looking at video shot earlier today, when shortly after this first happened, when that the dredge burst that pipeline and the explosion that followed. We have the latest information we have was we still have 4 people who are missing, and that is the most important thing we need to focus on. Is the choppers are in the air.
We heard them in Javier's live shot. We heard that chopper circling around.
And you talked before about the wake that fire is creating on the water. A tremendous force of that fire coming under that water, pushing those waves. That's just unbelievable.
And to be pushing that fireball up in the sky. If you've had a campfire at a camping area, you know how it feels when you get close to a little fire.
Yeah, that had to be, I don't know, 10 stories high.
At least.
Or more higher.
Well, we were seeing at one point over those silos that you could see in the background of this shot, the fire flames were higher than that, Drew.
Yeah, they probably were. And this is the fire that we showed you. This is the most recent video that we have sent to us from one of our viewers, I believe, And
it looks to be just about.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's come down a little bit, calmed down a little bit more since then. You could see in Javier's live report in the background, you could just see a little bit of black smoke. Not what you're seeing here.
Not what we saw earlier,
right.
For sure. And here's the other thing. It's going to take a little while for all that metal in that area to cool down so personnel can access that.
Yeah, what metal is left? I mean, with that fierce explosion and that fire, I'm sure it will melt just about anything. But again, they build these things knowing that these kind of accidents can happen. And so the most important thing is that is human life, and we have some people who are injured, badly burned, flown to Brooke Army Medical Center in San Antonio. In fact, 3 of the 18 employees who were there on 1 or 2 of those barges that were involved in this are in Brooke Army Medical Center in San Antonio. 8 are okay, and 6 in all have been taken to the hospital. 3 in BAMC, 3 here locally, and then 4 people remain missing.
And your hearts go out to
all the
family members
absolutely.
of those. Maybe the family members are sitting at home and don't know, hey, is my loved one of the ones that are missing? Or
I'm sure they, once you hear about these things, because typically the average person, you're at home, you might be watching something else on television, you don't even know this is going on until either A, you hear, feel, or see something, or you switch the channel. And I don't know how quickly you would call a family member of an employee when this thing is just happening, but I'm sure it was a shock to everybody that this has happened and may have happened directly involved somebody, a loved one.
I know we had just, it was probably 45 minutes, an hour or so after the sunrise show this morning. A lot of us crew members here in the morning had gone off to break, went to have breakfast, and we were called back immediately once the first reports of this came. And, we're like anybody else. We keep track of the latest on social media
Absolutely.
and the internet, and hadn't seen anything about it. Got in my car to head back over here and made a turn right over there onto Saratoga, and you could not miss the smoke in the sky.
And you, like this person here, they figure, while I'm driving along, let me take some cell phone video of this. Whatever I'm shooting, somebody's bound to want this video because you can't miss it, especially if you're outside.
This thing was seen for miles.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what we're seeing now is not this anymore. The smoke has definitely subsided, and crews have that fire under control. And I think at this point it's just we've been told by fire crews we're just waiting on this thing to burn out, and then it's really what's going to come next, Drew, that we'll get a good idea of just how severe this thing really was.
Yeah, and we hope that we can get some more information right now from Javier Guerra, who's standing by there live. He's been there all morning.
I believe they got his signal back up.
Any new information, or can you now hear us, Javier?
Hey, Drew, Paulo. At the moment, no, there is no new information. We are waiting for Chief Rocha to keep us updated. Of course, he is at the command center just up the road from us, trying to connect with the mayor, with the Wessex County Judge Barbara Canales, as well as the Emergency Management Center, with the state of Texas and Governor Greg Abbott, keeping them informed minute by minute. And he is supposed to give us an update soon. I will be talking to him soon to make sure that he does give us that update to make sure what's going on right now. But at the moment, what we do know is that 4 people are still missing. As you guys were talking about earlier, yeah, you can still hear this chopper. This chopper is still here right behind me. I do want to go ahead and show you the scene. The scene doesn't look as active as it was this morning, but still pretty active. We've got the Corpus Christi Fire Department, the Corpus Christi Police Department out here, as well as that department with the RTFC, which is that refinery fire department out here trying to maintain the situation. As you can see, it looks a lot better than what it was this morning. This morning the smoke was just black, tar black. You could see it all the way from the south side of Corpus Christi. We are seeing the chopper out there right now, still trying to locate those people. At the moment, like I said, what we do know is that 6 people were hospitalized. Remember, this did happen at around 8 in the morning. As soon as that happened, like you were talking about, Paulo, we were called in. We were called in to this area right now. We were on the other side. We could see some flames on the other side. When we went to this side, we could just see the black smoke, incredible black smoke, an incredible explosion that was witnessed here by a lot of people in the area. Now, other information that we do know is that 18 people were involved, as we've been reporting here. 3 people have been flown to the San Antonio burn unit that is with that Brooks Medical, the Brooks Army Medical burn unit over there in San Antonio. 6 people hospitalized again, 4 people still missing. That's all the information that we have at the moment. We are waiting on Chief Rocha to go ahead and update us.
Okay, that was Javier Guerra reporting live for us. Javier, thank you so much. We look forward to additional information as it breaks during this breaking news event. We should mention that Governor Abbott has also sent an email and a statement out regarding this. He says the state of Texas is working with local partners to help assist the Coast Guard and others to provide whatever means necessary. He also mentioned that the environmental, he's working with the Texas Commission on Environmental Air Quality, and they want to check the air quality in the area as well, because you saw this smoke in the air and the natural gas and the fire. That's something that they are going to be monitoring, as well as all the other things.
Because you never know what type of chemicals were burned off.
That's right. And
of that.
So that's something we have not mentioned that he did want to mention in his comment, is the environmental quality of the air is being monitored. The quality of the air is being monitored. Because you can see, obviously the smoke is
a lot different scene, Drew, than what we were seeing just an hour ago.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we may be coming to the end of the actual flames burning, but then this is just the beginning for everyone involved. It's really hard to get information. We cover these breaking news many times over the years, and people are scurrying around trying to get their people in place so they can be where they need to be when they need to be there, as soon as they need to be there. And to try to call and get information and get information out that's accurate is very difficult. That's why we want to be so careful when we try to report to you the injuries involved and those sort of things, because right now the information will start being compiled, honestly, once they get this fire contained and get more information. But all the local agencies working on this fire, Coast Guard, the local police, the mayor's office, environmental management, all of these people are putting their people together so they can do what they need to do, and it's hard. They don't have time sometimes to stop and say, okay, here's what we know. Right. They're too busy taking care of the incident.
Well, and this is what they train for, Drew.
Right.
They train for scenarios like this, and to be able to work together across lines, agency lines, to make sure the number one thing at hand is public safety, life, property, and safety.
Yeah,
so,
and how can we help? I mean, like you said, the Coastal Bend Blood Center needs some blood, type O, and they're in dire need. This kind of explosion incident affects so many people that we haven't even talked about. And the after effects of this and the aftershocks of this are going to be felt for a while. And we will learn more as the rest of the day and the hours and the weeks and the months ahead continue, because there's going to be an investigation as to what happened and why it happened, so it doesn't ever happen again.
And that's the silver lining.
Yep.
You know the Port Authority and all the agencies involved are going to use this as a learning experience, and to make sure, to ensure it doesn't happen again, and keep everyone safe. But now, We don't know how this transpired. We know that's a new pipe. We don't know if this private contractor was familiar with the waters.
Right. We just know what we've been told. I mean, we were told that they hit a submerged pipeline. That can happen. But did it happen because it was an accident? Was it negligent? We don't know. This is, we've talked about this is KRIS spawn here, where we know there's some people are in the hospital there, have been sent there. 6, in fact, have gone to either the burn unit in San Antonio or to our local hospitals, 3 to BAMC, Brooke Army Medical Center's burn unit, and 3 here to our local hospitals. And I'm sure the families of those people are probably very close by. And I'm sure that I think Andy Lascano was last seen over at the Bay Area. So we'll have to see what we can find out with regard to the family members involved.
Well, we do know, Drew, shortly before you got onto the set, there were some family members that had started arriving at Spawn.
Okay.
It'll be interesting to see if we'll get a moment with them once they exit to find out a little more about the types of injuries that their loved ones sustained.
Yeah, and just what they've heard, or who spoke with them. Was it who gave them the news? And it's just, it's really a delicate situation when the last thing a family member wants to do is talk to somebody with a microphone when they're dealing with the unknown. They don't know the condition of their loved one who is in the hospital. They don't know. They know that the conditions of those folks at Brooke Army Medical Center are severe burns. There's no question about that. And it's a really delicate situation. We have to be careful. That's why we want to make sure we're reporting all the facts. Can we put the numbers up one more time before? I know we're going to go on until the top of the hour, and we'll put these up maybe one more time before we wrap this up. This live coverage up. But again, 8 a.m. near the Corpus Christi Ship Channel was what we know so far. That's when this happened. Coast Guard, it was caused, according to the Coast Guard, by dredging. It hit a submerged pipeline, and then that's when the explosion and the fire followed.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There were 18 employees for this private contractor that was dredging in the area. We know they hit a natural gas pipeline. Since then, there have been 6 hospitalized, 3 flown to San Antonio to the burn unit there. And if you know what BAMC does, they work on severe burns. So you know the injuries sustained there are major. And then we know 4 are still missing, which is the real tragic thing.
Right, and we hope for the best for them and their families. And
we heard that helicopter circling around.
They are looking and searching, and there's only even so much the helicopter. Even the search. What can you do when the fire is burning and you got the plume of potentially toxic smoke billowing through the air?
And that's what they're dealing with right now, Drew.
Exactly.
They're letting that fire burn off, according to the Corpus Christi Fire Department, and then you got to let that area cool down. And then they'll be able to assess the area.
We do know one of the names, just for record, of the Wayman L. Boyd barge. You mentioned it was a private contractor who was hired to do the dredging. And there was another barge involved. 2 barges, according to Mayor Joe McComb, were involved. Those 18 employees were most likely working together with the 2 barges in conjunction with each other on that dredging operation when this happened. And that's what, according to the mayor, 2 barges, and because of the fact that the explosion happened, we don't know how many people were on one or the other barge or how the proximity was as to the people who were severely burned versus the others who were taken to the hospital. But that had to be a tremendous explosion. You said, one of the viewers called, said they could feel it themselves. The thing shaking just about 8 o'clock this morning.
Rattled her home. I mean, she felt it in her bones, she said. She walked outside and saw the plume of smoke. Now, it is worth noting, this was not any dredging that's going on by the Port Authority. It did happen in the ship channel, and the Port Authority was very quick on getting that shut down to a safe perimeter, make sure nobody's coming or going, until everything was really assessed. And as you imagine, Drew, it's going to probably be like this for a little while.
Absolutely. And again, no boats in, no boats out. It's shut down completely. Obviously, that makes total sense. No threat to the public. They're going to let this fire burn out. Again, this is video shortly after it happened this morning. Just tremendous video from this drone can just give you the magnitude of what we're looking at. That plume of smoke, you're right, that's taller than the 10-story building. There's no question about that.
And that was the main concern by some of the viewers that were calling in, seeing this,
Yeah.
is, are we safe?
Right.
Do we need to evacuate? Have there been any evacuation orders given?
The answer is you're safe, and there have not been.
And the players that need to be there are there. You just mentioned that the governor sent the Texas Commission on Environmental Equality is there to make sure that the air quality is safe.
They're going to monitor the air, which is good. But you can see the breadth of this fire and the explosion right there. And
all the way over to almost to the building. I'm sure some of the grass on that side is sustained some damage. Look at the charred grass.
And you see the building on the left. Now, Javier was right in front of that building doing his live report.
Right to the left on the other side.
That building, for the most part, blocked him the view from seeing what we are seeing right now. But the media can only get so close, and there has not been a news conference, press conference of any kind yet to let the media know what they know, so they can share that information with us, so we can obviously report it to you.
And we've mentioned all the agencies that are involved, right? So you're going to have a report from one, a report from another.
Right, exactly.
They've got to get on the same page, and there will be a plethora of information that's going to be released about this as soon as they get to meet and
you
get to assess.
See the small fires on the right-hand side on the bar?
Yes.
Everything is charred, burned, melted. Smoke billowing even from the right side of that.
Well, and you can see different colors of smoke, Drew. Those are different chemicals being burned off right there.
Yeah, that was just, but right now, this was shot earlier. To give you an idea what it was like this morning, surely, it's broad daylight. It's just after 8 o'clock in the morning, or 8 o'clock in the morning, maybe a little bit after that when this was shot. And you see the white smoke? That's the other things, the grass and the other things that caught fire, based on, I guess, which way the wind is blowing.
And usually you're using water to put fire out.
Right.
And this thing is spewing. I mean,
really
the pressure coming from under the water, and the flames still coming as high and as hot, with that burn circumference that it dealt with is just amazing.
And the refinery terminal fire company that you mentioned, you had visited with them yourself, and that they are here. And Javier Aguirre had told us, and this is what they do, and this is what they know. And I'm really looking forward to hearing what they have to say about this, and not to mention the operator, the people who came off the barge, who could tell the story as to what they know happened.
And as bad as this seemed, Drew, I mean, we're contained to about a space of right there.
That's true.
As bad as that looked, and as high as those flames got, look at the space that it's contained to.
Yep.
So these agencies, this is what they do.
Right.
This could have been a lot worse.
Absolutely, no
It
question.
still is a bad situation because we have some folks that are still missing.
That's right, and that's the number one priority right now is locate those missing people. This is a live picture now off of navigation where it's happening. This is a few miles away, and the smoke, you're going to see
you can barely see remnants of what's going on.
Yeah. Well, let's get everybody one more time a quick update. We're going to wrap things up in the next couple of minutes here. And what has been a breaking news morning here in Corpus Christi, where we can report to you that we have some people injured, we have some people burned badly. They're in San Antonio, and Apollo, 18 people involved in this operation this morning that really resulted in a dredge that struck the submerged pipeline that caused the explosion. And you can go over the numbers yourself, but these are the things that matter the most. These are the facts, what we can tell you that we know at this point.
And KRIS 6 is all about bringing the public the facts, the latest information. And the sad thing here, we'll be telling stories about this for days to come, but the sad thing is right now there are 4 people missing, 4 families that don't know what's happened to their loved ones. We heard the Halo, Coast Guard Halo circling the area, and you can only presume there's still They're searching from above right now. Once that fire gets out and that area is safe to assess, they'll start searching for
and like many other viewers
employees
that shot this video here, I'm sure we may get some more from people in and around the area who probably turn their cell phones in that direction.
And send them in to us. Send them to our Facebook or email them.
We want to give you the most updated information. Again, 18 people are involved from 2 barges involving this explosion and fire this morning in the ship channel. 8 were found okay, 6 taken to the hospital, 3 to BAMC in San Antonio with severe burns, and 3 to local hospitals. 4 people are still missing. We have crews on the scene. We are on this story. We'll give you the very breaking news as it happens this afternoon on air and online here at KRIS 6 TV.
Have a good day, everyone.